Hello, listening people.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho?
Yes, hi.
Oh, right. I'm like, it's not Christmas, Bartek.
It's a December episode.
But I am also Ryan. See, I said your name, and now I'm saying my name, because we're spin Polish. Likely because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish. Isn't that right, Bartek?
Yes.
Because Bartek, that's a Polish name, right?
Yes.
And Ryan, that's a very Polish name, right?
Yeah. By the way, Ryan, thank you very much for pointing at the two of us so I knew who we were talking about.
It's okay. It's an audio feature only. You can hear my point if you listen hard enough. You can hear it cutting through the air.
Yes, but I feel like the listening people need to know that you pointed right at yourself.
So we're doing Unappreciated Masterpieces.
Oh, yes, we are.
A weekly show in which we talk about a movie that we think deserves more conversation, more love, more, dare I say, appreciation.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it weekly, though. It's pretty strong.
Yeah. That was a good one. I'm very proud of you, Bartek. I'm very proud.
You.
So we do it as a feature-length audio commentary track. We discuss it. We talk about it. We delve into the positive aspects of it because these films just don't have enough appreciation and love. People just want to rag on them. You know, some people, not going to name names, critics, just want to just say, hey, these films suck. Why are you talking about these ones? And we say no. For however long the movie is, we just say no continuously. But Bartek...
Who names their kids critics?
I don't know. Critics do, I imagine. Now, Bartek, I need to know the name of the film.
Yes.
Because I'm in the episode, and I can't tell myself what the episode's title is. Hence, I don't know the movie. You have to tell me. Because you can see into the future in which this episode is published and it has the title there. So you can tell me now in the present/past what it is.
This episode is published on December 4th.
Is it? Good job.
It's the future.
Yes, the day Frank Zappa died.
And you want to know what you want to know what the day after that is?
What?
The day my
December
grandma
5th.
died?
December 5th. It's the day someone's grandmother died. But Bartek, what's the movie?
The movie?
Yeah, what's the movie's name?
This week we are doing... What?
I don't know.
Happy birthday?
Happy birthday. Go on, Bartek.
December 6th is our one of our guests, Nathan Malloy's birthday. We can say happy birthday to him then.
Happy birthday to Nathan Malloy.
Yay. The movie that we are doing in this episode is Zwariowany Fred.
Okay, I understood one word in that.
Alright, but you don't know Fred.
That's exactly what I was going to go with. Bartek, I don't speak the Polish language, even though I am Polish. I don't speak the language. You have to translate it into English for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, Fred means Fred.
Oh, okay. And what does the other two words translate into for those listeners who don't understand?
In fact, it's one word.
Oh, was it?
Zwariowany.
Oh, you made it sound like two words before. Rewind the episode, listen to it. I think he made it sound like two words before. I think he had a little bit of a gap between them.
That's because when I say...
It's like if I said, cool. It sounds like I'm saying two words.
Did it sound like I said Zwariowany?
Yeah.
Instead of Zwariowany?
Yeah.
That's because when I say Polish titles on this show, I like enunciate the not symbols, syllables a bit.
The symbols too? So what does it all translate into? Something Fred.
But it's one word.
Something Fred.
Zwariowany, actually, if we want to go on multiple words, it can mean either crazy or out of their mind. Out of his mind.
Out of his mind, Fred? Is that the movie we're watching? I love Out of His Mind, Fred.
No, I was going to say it doesn't sound like a title, but if you love it, I guess that means it is a title.
I mean, it doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't rhyme.
Oh, does it have to rhyme?
Sure.
Well, okay, look, we got crazy, out of his mind. Oh, I know a variation. How about Drop Dead?
Drop Dead Fred? Oh man, Drop Dead Fred, the film.
Wait, drop and dead don't rhyme.
Fred does.
Oh yeah! Oh, 1991!
But we can't do the 1991 Drop Dead Fred movie alone. We need an imaginary friend to join us for this episode. Although they do physically exist, they are not our friend, but they imagine they are. That's the twist. That's the twist. Hi, Grayson Brown.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
Oh, that's good. You watched Drop Dead Fred? You enjoyed it?
I did watch Drop Dead Fred. It was good fun. And this is like the first film I've actually paid for to watch for this podcast.
Oh, you paid?
Ooh.
Yeah, I rented it off iTunes.
Oh, wow. Rented? You didn't want to buy it?
No, because it was like $14 or something.
Wow.
$14 of greatness.
I mean, yes. Do you want to guess how much it was to rent?
$8.
No. Incorrect. Lower. It was $4.99, which I think is too steep for a 1991 movie.
Well, it does have a hero in it, Phoebe Cates.
I paid $2 for year one.
Exactly, and
DVD.
I've paid for many DVDs in the past. So, guys at home, maybe you have to rent a copy of Drop Dead Fred, or have a physical copy, or buy it for $14, which, you know, for a film this quality, you're really paying in the long run. So I suggest you have a copy, because we have a copy. I'm going to press play. I'm going to do a countdown before that. You're going to press play when I say play, and then we're going to be lined up as we talk about the majesty that is Drop Dead Fred. So get ready, because we're going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play.
Whoa.
That was our shortest preamble ever, I think.
Okay, so guys, I'm going to stop the episode now so we can preamble a bit more.
But we're already playing.
No, it's still playing.
Oh, it's okay.
Like, literally 2 sentences ago, you would have been able to do that, Ryan.
I'm just impressed.
I was lying.
Because every
No,
time
you're
I come...
lying.
You're lying. Stop lying.
I'm lying!
Because every time I come on, you always say, like, we always have a huge preamble with you. And I'm like, it's because I've got a lot to say, and I'll say
Wow,
it.
okay. You're preambling, okay? Let's get into the
I'm now post-ambling,
the
surely.
meat and
Or
potatoes.
during ambling.
There's still like 2 hours
The
left
meat and
this
potatoes.
episode.
I got a serious trivia fact for you guys that might blow your mind. Straight off the bat, first scene. That goldfish is dead. I just think we needed to get that out
I
of the
don't
way.
know, Ryan. I think I want to contest you
Hey.
on that. Where's your evidence?
Hey. Moment of silence for the goldfish, please.
Okay.
You know, we actually start every single episode when Ryan presses the record button. He says a moment of silence, and it always makes me want to go like out of respect.
I
have
also
done that.
had that instinct.
Can we talk about the amazing opening credits here?
I love an animated opening credits.
I just like opening opening credits that really kind of help characterize the movie. I feel like films have lost that art form of an opening credits sequence that kind of gives you a feeling of what the movie is without necessarily giving away what the movie's going to be about. I feel like opening credits these days are really kind of a snooze fest.
If they have them at all.
If they have them at all. Like, you know, some of the best opening credits scenes out there, you have like Psycho. Psycho has a great opening credits sequence with the Soul Bass artwork and imagery, and I think this is an amazing one. It's always the thing that kind of really, like, one of the many things that stuck with me as a child when I watched this. I always remembered the music and the crazy kind of drawings and all of that, and I just was like, this really does match the film perfectly overall.
They misspelled production there.
They also misspelled by before.
Yeah, but
And
other times they didn't.
Photography's fine, though.
Photography is perfect.
Photography is perfect.
I will say this, it's very long.
It's not that long.
I mean, I've got a very short attention span.
Well, that's your fault, isn't it? It's not the movie's fault.
You could say that, and you have.
And I will continue.
All right.
Grayson, everything's your fault. It's your fault that this movie's an unappreciated masterpiece. That's
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. I just dropped the ball when it came to marketing.
you know what would have made it appreciated? You buying it for $14.
I rented it for $5. What more did they want?
Oh, that's right. You can keep renting it forever.
Forever
so
and
then,
ever. So it's more than 14.
So, Bartek, Drop Dead Fred. Do you have much of a history with this film?
I knew about it, but I hadn't seen it before.
So what did you know about it?
All I knew was that it was a film about a crazy imaginary friend.
Okay. Did you have any other knowledge about the film, like who the friend was? Like obviously it's Fred, but like who they were played by?
I knew it was played by Rik Mayall.
So did you kind of know, knowing it's Rik Mayall, what to expect from the character of Drop Dead Fred?
Yeah, I think maybe ages and ages ago I saw some clips of it, so I did remember some stuff about it. Not the full extent of it, but I did know that, yeah, like I said, crazy friend.
Crazy friend. Some might say the wackiest of friends. What about you, Grayson? Do you have much of a history with Drop Dead Fred?
A little bit. I think I saw it when I was about 14, because I think that's when I started my like Rik Mayall Young Ones Comic Strip Presents phase.
When did that phase end?
Probably went on for quite a while, at least a year, and like I still have an interest in everything they do. Like,
Yeah.
I was very sad when he died.
As was I. We're going to talk about that obviously later on, but you entered into it. Was Drop Dead Fred the first thing you went to during this phase, or was there other things? Or
No,
what made you eventually go walk your way into this?
I think it was. I had a lot of time as a child. I still have a lot of time.
And a child still.
Yeah. All right. I don't really know. I suppose because I thought it was something different. I thought it was a bit more lighthearted. Didn't realize it was a black comedy.
Oh, okay.
As Wikipedia describes it.
But at the same time, it's got Rik Mayall in it.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, how dark can it really be?
As dark as Rik Mayall wants it to be.
Which is quite dark.
I feel like most of the black comedy comes from, like, the relationship with the mum.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, look, it's one of these things where I know that you can see it as a black comedy, but a black comedy for me usually entails that the comedy itself is of a dark nature. Well, for me, this has... Yeah, well, that's what I think of. Like, the comedy itself is dealing, like, you know, a black comedy could be something like...
The subject matter, I think, has to be the dark aspect.
Yeah, but the comedy has to blend with that subject matter. So you have a show like Peep Show, for instance. That's a black comedy show where it's a show where, you know, you have such dark subject matters like, the main character is getting raped, but it's also particularly funny in that show because it's black comedy. But this, for me, I feel like it's a movie with comedy in it, but I don't think the comedy itself is particularly like what you would call black comedy. Like, there's serious elements in the movie, like the psycho, you know, like the psychotraumatic stuff and all this kind of mental health issue stuff. But I don't.
Emotional abuse is the main dark matter, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's like one of these weird movies where the biggest complaint people have with this is the tonal stuff, where it's kind of like. You could have had two movies from this. The kids movie, where it's the crazy imaginary friend that's, you know, with the adult now. That's weird. Or you have this really dark movie where it's like, is it real? Is it not?
Like a Donnie Darko.
Like a Donnie Darko kind of thing. But it's like, it's both. This is one of these ones where it goes, who is this for? Is it for kids? Is it for adults?
If you had have made this an all out and out kids movie, then people would have still gone like I never realised how dark it was, because, like, if you think about it in reality, she's severely mentally ill. Like, well, yes.
Yeah.
It's, like, people will still make the same arguments about
But it's how you frame things. And this movie, I love the fact that it frames it in both ways, where it's not afraid to say, no, she's mentally ill, but also, no, he's actually real. Because that's the thing, he is real.
Yeah.
He comes from
He's
an
a
imaginary
poltergeist
friend
almost.
land. But then also, he's not real.
Because no one can see him.
Because also, you can kill him with medication.
I think you could kill a lot of real things with medication.
Yeah, but like...
Including and not limited to people.
It's called overdosing.
But if you do it to
what?
yourself... But you know what I mean, like, I love... This is one of these movies where it's like the tonal and the subject and all that. Like, I think it's not as easy to pin this down as just going, oh, it's just a black comedy. Like, it is a comedy.
Well, it's not just a black comedy, but it is one.
Yeah. I mean, look,
I don't know,
I'm not going to fight you too much because it's just like... I can see where people come with that from, but I just usually when I think of a black comedy, I think of the comedy itself being of a dark subject matter. Well, the comedy doesn't actually bounce off the dark subject matter of this movie. If anything, the dark subject matter is played really straight. Like even Fred gets serious when it's the dark subject matter stuff.
I actually really appreciate that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what makes this movie really good is Rik Mayall knows, as he always did, when to pull it back. Because he was always very over the top, very in your face, very, you know, pulling faces and flicking boogers. But he always knew in every single comedic performance when to just pull it back a little, just the right moment. And this is one of those movies where it's like, he knows. It's not just the final scene where he's all serious. It's like there's other moments in this. But yeah, I have a long history of this movie. I have a very mixed history with this movie. I saw it when I was a kid. I've seen it when I'm a teen. I've seen it when I've been an adult. And I've always had like a rocky relationship with Drop Dead Fred because I've always loved Rik Mayall, like from a very small child to now. And it's always been one of those ones where it's just like, oh yeah, Drop Dead Fred's good, but it's no Blackadder, or it's no New Statesman, or it's no Young Ones or Bottom or something. Like, it's Drop Dead Fred, it's alright. But then there would be that thing where I'd be like, when you're a teen and you get like protective over what you like, and then when other people like it, but they like the wrong thing about it, I'll be like, I like Rik Mayall, and people are like, who's that? And I'd be like, young ones are like, I don't know that, and I'd list them. Then eventually have to be like Drop Dead Fred, and they're like, oh, the loud guy in Drop Dead Fred. I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, I like Drop Dead Fred. I'll be like, check out the other things.
You're not allowed to like it until you go through a sequence of liking these things.
You're allowed to like it when you see it in the grand scheme of who he is. You know what I mean? But like, now obviously, so I've always had a hard time with this movie because it is that thing of, as a kid, a lot of the elements flew over my head. So I wanted more silly Rik Mayall. But then as an adult, I'm like, as a teen, I was like, I don't know, it's a little too kidsy now. Pull it back. But yeah, now as an adult, I'm like, I think it blends perfectly.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It just gels so much better. I always neglected to really appreciate Phoebe Cates in the movie as well, because I'm a Rik Mayall fan, so I'm always looking at Rik Mayall. But watching it for this episode, Phoebe Cates does a great job. She's great, as is Carrie Fisher, who's in the movie.
And who I think gets all the funniest lines.
Other than Drop Dead Fred, right?
I don't think Fred's lines are particularly funny. I think the way Rik Mayall's all over the place is funny.
Yeah.
I don't know, the line pooing it on the table or whatever it was. That was a pretty funny line.
Now, poo out on the table. Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah, Carrie Fisher, but it's also because she wrote her own lines.
I was wondering whether she did, and I tried to Google it.
The trivia said that she rewrote
her lines, yeah. So wrote her lines. But like, here's the thing. She originally auditioned for Phoebe Cates' role, but was considered too old. Which, look, I know that's a mean thing, but I kind of get it, because it's like, I don't know. I think Phoebe Cates does it. Well, it's also hard because Phoebe Cates kind of nails it so hard. So I kind of, with her young doughy-eyed face, where she's like,
got such doe eyes.
Yeah, she's a doe.
Yeah.
Not as much of a doe as Natalie Dormer, because Natalie Dormer's not human. She's just a doe wearing a dress. So, like, it is insane how much of a doe she looks. But having not seen it, Bartek...
I've seen it.
No, but having not seen it before watching it for the show, what did you feel when you dived into it? Like, did you have this kind of thing like a lot of people do, where you think it's going to be like this kids movie? Or, like, what went on for you having to go into it first?
Yeah, it was interesting walking in, because I did know, like, oh, it's an adult whose imaginary friend from childhood, I think I was aware of that, has come back. And, yeah, I didn't expect it to be like Ted or anything like that, where it's still like a sophomoric adult
thing, and that everyone can see it.
And everyone can see it. I didn't know that, there would be the sort of darker subject matter of, she's... she's got an emotionally abusive relationship with her mum, and she's got all these relationship trouble. The one relationship trouble, which is very big.
Yeah, with her husband.
Yeah.
I wasn't far too old for her.
But that's also a part of what goes on with her as an individual. So
when I heard that, like, this film, this is the consensus that I heard, that it like struggles to mix childish humor with the more grown-up humor. I thought that, the humor itself was going to be the grown-up thing, like, oh, that joke's a bit whatever, but I didn't know that, like, the subject matter in the film was going to be of the dark nature.
Yeah, I heard people complain that some of the jokes were too adult. What's wrong, Grayson?
I didn't realise that she sat on her suitcase, which is on her bed.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be very precarious?
No, I think she just did that because she's still childlike.
Oh, I see. And that's to indicate how childlike she is.
Yeah, visually, yeah.
Because
Same with her outfit. Same with her outfit.
It evokes a booster seat.
Yeah, exactly. Because she's very childlike, of course. I mean, look at her. It's like she hasn't cut her hair since she was a kid, because her mum loves her hair. That's a big plot point of the movie. It is.
I know.
You're laughing like, please don't mention the plot point of the movie.
Please don't tell me the plot points of the movie.
Alrighty, then I won't.
Thank you.
No, yeah. So you kind of had this feeling of these elements of them possibly playing in. What did you think of just the general idea of like a a person's imaginary friend from childhood coming back to them when they're adult? What did you think of that?
It's a great idea, and I'm glad that the film did it.
I actually think it's a fantastic idea, and I reckon you could do more movies exploring that subject. Like, this is obviously going to always be the top one, but, like, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, you can play it for comedy or drama or surrealism. Who knows? But I think that's a wicked idea. Like, I just love it.
You mentioned earlier that the film kind of blends two movie ideas together. You know, the imaginary friend one and the grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
And I can imagine a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of critics have said this, that, like, oh, you know, you blend two partial ideas together and you don't necessarily get one great film because you should have stuck with one. I think that this film is perfect for having done the blending of two ideas.
Yeah, you know, that I totally agree. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, a lot of the greatest movies are a fusion of genres or themes or stuff, but it's hard to pull them off. And I think at the time when Drop Dead Fred came out, maybe people couldn't understand that, because, you know, people maybe marketed towards kids a bit more, but also you got to remember this is Rik Mayall's introduction into America, where nobody knew him really, and Rik Mayall's that kind of guy where I feel like you need context.
Yeah, like I did wonder how Rik Mayall would go outside of an English context, like in an American context.
Yeah, and evidently not too well, but his performance is great. He's still funny. He's still Rik Mayall, but it's like the Americans always have a different comedy sensibility to the English.
Yeah, they straight up didn't get young ones.
Yeah, and we Australians obviously lean towards the English comedy sensibility a bit more. But, you know, that's not necessarily 100% the case.
I feel like we're more of a balance. Aren't we?
Yeah, but I feel like...
If you're talking England clones, it's New Zealand.
Yeah. But I feel like with our actual comedy shows, they lean towards more the English sensibility of comedy than more the American style of comedy. Same with our stand-up comedians and stuff, I personally
definitely
feel. So that's why I feel like, speaking, we lean towards more the English sensibility of comedy, but we obviously have our own style, but that's why people like Rik Mayall can work for us as well, because we also got a lot of him as well. I grew up... I remember some of my earliest memories of remembering watching TV was watching Bottom. My mum and dad let me watch Bottom.
This explains so much.
Well, it's because it's slapstick. And it's sexual, but it's slapstick. As a kid, you're focusing on how many times Rik Mayall can get hit in the face with a frying pan.
I was watching a clip from Bottom the other day where...
Which one?
I can't even remember, but it like Rik Mayall gets like a spike through the middle of his head, and I literally gasped.
My favourite in Bottom, because there's a lot of physical comedy, which Rick implements in this perfectly, because again, physical comedy is a lost art form now, I feel. Like, there are some, but like in terms of movies and TV.
It's just Johnny English holding, like...
It's just Johnny English... And then on stage, it's just Frank Woodley. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, no, Debbie Lardner.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, like, in Bottom, they were gross. And you could see that this is still gross, too. Like, not only is it booger flicking, but, like, other things. Like, you know, mean things, mean-spirited things. Like, when he hits her in the face with a shovel.
Yeah.
But, like, they would do that in Bottom. Or one of my favorites was, Rik Mayall's character got the Christmas episode, he gets his finger chopped off accidentally while making Brussels sprouts. And then he bandages his finger back on, but it's, like, bent, like, completely wrong, like, twisted up. And you see blood is just, you know, kind of pouring out of the wound while he's stirring the soup they're making. The blood's just going into it. And it's great. Also, one of the best ones that makes me go, ooh, is Adrian Edmondson grabs a lampshade, grabs a lamp, takes up the lampshade, smashes the light bulb on the edge of a table so it breaks, and then uses it as a cattle prod to electrocute Rik Mayall in the testicles. See, this movie isn't afraid to do that kind of over-the-top stuff. Like, Rik Mayall gets hit by a fire truck.
But what I find funny is it seems like the gravest injury he gets is from her doing the sneeze thing.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't expect it.
No, but there's bits where he's like, no, don't you sneeze, and she's like,
no, I mean, he pretty much expects it all the time. He just can't deal with it.
That is true.
He could just move.
No, because he's not real.
In fact, he calls out the catalyst, the flowers, every time it happens, doesn't he?
Gladiolas. Which I think they pronounce differently at least like 3 different ways in this.
No, it's because he's English.
Oh, we made the same joke at the same time.
Because obviously Rik Mayall is... Drop Dead Fred is obviously like a metaphor for her dad. Because he's English. No, that's actually the reason. You know that, right? That's actually a fact. Drop Dead Fred is actually a symbol and metaphor for the father she wished she had. The one that would stand up for her. The one that would be her friend. The one that would be there. The one that would be active. Because her dad is very passive. Like, he's a nice guy, but he's too busy reading the paper or too busy getting into a fight with a mum and not actually and then leaves.
Yeah, I got so mad when he left. I'm like, if you're really that angry, fucking do something.
But if you actually watch the movie, he's very passive-aggressive to the mum.
Oh, yeah, and isn't that great for the child?
Exactly. Hence, Drop Dead Fred exists. She wants something.
Yeah.
Phoebe Cates actually said, before we started this episode, Grace and I were talking about, like, what Fred is. And it was like, talk about, like...
Is he a man?
Is he a man? And...
I think no.
And the weird thing is Phoebe Cates says yes. Because
Really?
Phoebe Cates believes 100% that Fred is her embodiment of her masculine
Okay.
side. The side that is, that she lacks. She's too...
like
yeah.
assertiveness and bravado.
Yeah, and other aspects of that. So
Things
Phoebe...
that only men have.
Well, no, obviously, but it's like in the movie
I
we
was
get.
being sarcastic.
Well, I'm going to clarify for those who can't tell your dry Australian wit.
I can see what you mean, Ryan, because in this state that she's grown up under her mum's thumb, basically, she is basically a little girl in a grown-up body.
She's like a Stepford wife.
Yeah, like Stepford daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at her mum wearing like
she's
her,
a wife actually.
Her mum wearing these like absurd typical like her pink dresses that are just over the top and like the fashion haircut of the day. And
man, I could swear Glenn Close wore that in Stepford Wives. Actually,
I swear that this is Glenn Close. She's actually just playing us. She's actually Drop Dead Fred as well. Like, if Glenn Close could play Drop Dead Fred in the next movie, that'd be great. But, we can't always get what we want.
Do you reckon there'll be a Drop Dead Fred remake?
They tried.
Really?
With Russell Brand. But it fell through when Arthur was a commercial bomb.
Ooh.
And people actually, look, I reckon Russell Brand could have done it, but I don't think he at that time, had asserted himself enough as a presence on camera. He's more of a stand-up comedian kind of guy, while Rik Mayall, when he did this, he had done everything by then. I mean, music, stand-up comedy, acting, writing, he was directing, he was in charge of everything. So by the time he rocked around to America, he already had so much experience. Well, Russell Brand, maybe in the future, I could still see him doing it, because he has an anarchist sensibility and wackiness, but,
I think he's got too much of that I'm an intellectual about him.
Yeah, that's...
To, pull it off and for it to be... I don't think believable is quite what I mean.
But I have seen him in Saint Trinians, and he did a pretty good job playing a commoner in that.
A commoner?
He was. He was a drug dealer.
So are you basically saying that Russell Brand needs to build his brand?
Yes.
His Russell Brand.
Best effect was this... This is one of the set-piece little jokes where his face got squished. I loved this. Just think if they did it today, it would be a CG effect. And how lame that would be.
He looks a little bit like Tweedledum and Tweedledee from the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland.
Except for practical instead of CG.
The thing that annoys me about this practical effect is that his hair is brown here, but his hair is red throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like a
Well,
detail
if it makes you feel any better, the roots of his hair are brown, so...
I feel like his hair is inconsistent throughout this movie.
No, I think it's lighting.
You reckon?
Yeah, because think of the lighting here. Usually when you see his hair very red, it's backlit. A lot of the time. So it's like, look at her hair. You could say her hair's a lot blacker in this scene. Like the mum.
Don't
Her
worry.
hair's a lot
The
darker.
relationship between red and brown has always been rocky.
Yeah. Do you know there's a theory that every color is actually brown? Yeah. Yeah, it's like you can...
Is it based on altering the lighting or saturation or whatever?
Pretty much. It's like you can really trace back that every color is actually brown.
It's a pretty shit theory, though.
I
mean, even if it's true, it's kind of shit because you have to alter it.
Because obviously, then you'd be like, oh, what about white? Well, not a color.
It's a shame.
What about black? Not a color.
Microsoft Paint wants a word with you guys.
Why me? I've done nothing. Leave
No,
me
not
alone,
you,
Microsoft.
No,
I see.
Clippy has a word to say to you.
I'm not going to argue with you, Grayson. Your last name is Brown.
Thank you so much.
Every color's secretly you.
Yeah, I'm the authority on this.
So, Grayson,
Yes.
did you ever have an imaginary friend or friends?
No, I pretended to because I wanted to be interesting so badly.
Really?
Yeah,
How
like-
old were you?
I think I was 5.
Wow, even at 5, you felt peer pressured to be different
Oh,
enough to be like, I have an imaginary friend.
I don't know. Like I'm the youngest child in the family, and like
Ditto.
excellent. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
Um,
No, just naming a Pokemon alike.
Was that your imaginary friend? I was going to ask.
and my family, like living at home, was like 6 people, so like getting a word in edgeways was very difficult. So like I was loud and different, which explains a lot about me now.
Does it?
Yeah, and like my fake imaginary friend, like basically he was Tigger but blue and called Tiger.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
I wanted to be special and different, but I wasn't that imaginative, apparently.
What about you, Bartek?
No, it is. I mean, he's orange, but he's blue.
Yeah, just switch it.
It's just Eeyore now.
I loved Eeyore.
Of course, I did too. I never really liked Winnie the Pooh, but every time Eeyore was on, I'm like, oh, Eeyore. Everyone thought I'd be like a Tigger guy, but I'm like, nah, Tigger's too annoying. Give me some Eeyore action. And then once I started introducing other characters,
Well,
I'm like, I don't
Ryan-
need Rue.
Well, Ryan, you know who
Don't
would...
pander to me because I'm from Australia.
Well, you know who would have played a good Tigger?
Who?
Rik Mayall.
He would have done a fantastic job, wouldn't he? Yet again, I don't know if his voice would be good for it. Like, physically you could, but if
mean,
he did it as a voice thing, I
Aren't
reckon
aren't all the like 100-acre woods or whatever they're called characters like old American people voicing them anyway? So
Yeah, but what I mean is, like, Tigger has a very, like, husky voice that's got a bit of a lisp to it. Like, he's got a more of a like,
Husky.
in comparison to every other character.
Doesn't he sound like this? But
Yeah,
more
well,
of
then
this?
you have Winnie the Pooh's like, oh, you know, and then you have
He's Irish.
What's up?
I actually thought you were going to be like, that's Mickey Mouse. And then you have Piglet. That's actually what he just sounded like. Did you know, Piglet was played by the same guy until he died only a couple years back? Yeah, same guy. He was in 12 Angry Men. He was a little bald guy.
Was he
He was-
angry?
No, well, kind of, he was nervous. He was also in Star Trek, the original one. And it's great to hear the voice of Piglet literally say, I will murder you! I shall shoot your corpses into space and watch them explode! And it's like, nothing gives you more joy than hearing the voice of Piglet say brutal things. No, Rik Mayall, I don't know. I reckon he could do a good version of the owl. Because Rik Mayall's voice acting always had more of a nobility to it, hence he did King Arthur.
He did a animated TV series that I cannot remember the name of, but it was like 3 little animal figurines
Yeah.
that came to life, and I think he voiced a bird in that.
I wouldn't be surprised. He also did this show, maybe it's the same show, but there's this one show where it's called, I think it's Grizzly Tales. No, and it's him sitting on this chair telling these stories.
Grizzly Tail. Wasn't that Nigel Planet?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's something Tales. It's like Grim Tales for kids or whatever, but it's like him sitting on this chair that has ostrich legs and hands.
Ostrich hands?
No.
Oh.
No. Weird hands. Not
I
ostrich
see.
hands. But,
To answer your question, Ryan,
do you have an imaginary friend?
no, I just talked to myself.
Okay, but did you ever have an imaginary friend as a small child?
So my question to counter your question would be,
Did I?
With the no. I don't.
Counter.
I don't care about that. My question is, with imaginary friends, is it essential that you believe that they are real, or
At the time,
you
yeah.
can't just pretend that they're real?
No, at the time they had to feel real, I think, is
Okay.
the idea.
I think that's the idea, but it also like occurred to me while I was watching this because I was thinking about how I like pretended to have one. Did everyone pretend to have one, and we all just are like, no, you only have one if you like really believe.
Yeah, because I don't know if I ever like had one, whether pretend or not, but I always just imagined it be like, oh yeah, you know it's not real, but because you get fun out of it, you.
But at the same time,
play
you're
it up.
speaking as an adult.
No,
with
but I
an
thought
adult
this
cognitive mind.
no, but I thought
retrospect.
no, I thought this when I was young.
Oh, okay. Me,
And that's why it's blowing my mind.
I never had an imaginary friend. I would just rather.
No one asked.
I just wanted to say it. I just would play on my trampoline and make up like stories to jump around and do, like flying or whatever, like narrative based thing that I would make up.
Yeah, solos.
Usually Satan was my antagonist because when you're a kid, Satan's like the most evil of evil people.
Satan didn't really enter into my life as a child.
Not in pop culture?
No, not really.
Not even in Powerpuff Girls.
I didn't watch Powerpuff Girls growing up.
Well,
didn't have Foxtel.
I didn't either.
How did you watch it?
It was on TV.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't where I was.
Oh, well, that'll teach you to not live in rural Australia like I did.
Yeah, teach me to be in metropolitan Australia.
So, guys, this is a really extreme moment in the movie that we should mention where she literally burgles the house to the point in which she makes the parents so scared that the father gets arrested for tackling a policeman.
a famous crime.
It is, but also she gets away with it.
Yeah.
Well,
And
she tries to speak up.
Yeah, she tries to.
But no one listens to small children.
Yeah, and isn't that just the theme throughout this?
Or that no one listens to her?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she doesn't also stand up for herself strong enough is also one of the things in it.
Yeah, but like,
Her assertiveness is weak.
yeah, but she's been conditioned to not be assertive by an abusive parent.
Yeah, she's conditioned to be stuck as her childlike self. Hence,
Yeah.
at the end, she frees herself as a child and embraces her, which is just beautiful.
It actually is. Yeah.
Speaking of the child, I really like the chemistry between the child actress and Rik Mayall.
Yes, thank
I'm
you.
uncomfortable with it being called chemistry, but I do agree.
No, it is chemistry.
Well, not romantic chemistry.
Obviously
but...
not, because that's gross and horrible and wrong.
There is a weird kind of romantic chemistry with the adult version.
That's odd, isn't it?
No, because it's also like for her character, he's the only positive male figure she's had in her life, and her character learns by the end that she can rely on herself. So, but it's also not played too strongly. Like, you know, he does the little kiss at the end, but that's also like, you could tell that's a part of how you do the getting rid of Drop Dead Fred thing.
Yeah.
Which also, there's this other movie, I can't remember what it's called, but there's this one with Gerard Depardieu where he plays an imaginary friend, but it's played like ultra sweet with Haley Joel Osment as the kid. And
Oh my god.
it's actually really good. It's worth checking out. But at the end, it has this really sweet monologue, which this movie kind of does the opposite of, where at the end, the kid walks off with his stepmother, Whoopi Goldberg, and the imaginary friend's just left there, and he talks to us, the audience, being like, oh, they always remember saying hello to us and playing adventures, but they never say goodbye.
Oh.
You never say goodbye to your imaginary friends. Maybe years later you'll remember us, but that's not a goodbye and that kind of thing. But then he's happy with it, and he walks off, and he walks down the road, and the credits play as he bumps into like this little girl who's crying, and you see it's like a silhouette image because it's the sun setting. And it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. Well, this film does the opposite effect of that, where it's kind of like...
She needs to say goodbye.
They can say goodbye to your imaginary friends unless you kill them with medication.
Oh. That's real weird, the medication thing.
It works, though.
Yeah, it does work, but it's like an interesting...
It's an interesting twist that she's
Interesting
literally killing him.
Well, to be fair, he isn't dead at the end.
He doesn't drop dead?
No.
Who doesn't? Fred.
No.
Fred doesn't drop dead.
No,
Funny Fred.
no. Tim Matheson as the husband, he doesn't drop dead. He gets to not have Bella, Annabella, which has one of my favourite lines, oddly enough. Because I always try to think, what's my favourite line outside of anything Fred says? And one of my favourite lines is, Annabella, Bella, I'm still your fella. And I'm like, because it's so cheesy. And he thinks it's working.
And he's gross.
He is gross. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember, I think he's an Australian actor, I can't remember.
Ooh.
Can't remember. I think one of the actors in this is an Australian actor somewhere. But yeah, this has a lot of extreme things going on. But Bartek, this is still funny. What was one of the standout funny moments for you, or something that really kind of put a grin on your face?
Can I interrupt? Sorry, Bartek.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
The thing is, they pan to MAC Cosmetics and they go, cruelty free. And I'm like, MAC Cosmetics are not cruelty free.
Oh, it's because her mum's a liar.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Good point. I forgot that her mum is a liar. Sorry, Bartek.
Go on.
No, it's okay. I didn't even start speaking. Well, again, with the chemistry with the child actress and Rik Mayall, I found a lot of that just like put a smile on my face because it was like charming and genuine.
And I want that child to be happy so badly.
She was a very well-known child actress at the time, too.
Really?
Yeah, she was in a big soap opera, like period piece soap opera. Yeah, I can't remember if she's gone on to anything, but yeah, I agree. That's actually one of the standout moments for me is the amazing chemistry between the two of them, because you could tell Rik Mayall made her very happy. Like, because sometimes you see that in movies where there's a child actor and sometimes child actors can come across very artificial because they have to be. But she seems very genuine, like she's genuinely having a great time. Like that bit where he's like, yeah, and then we'll cut off her head. Yeah, with a pair of scissors, and then we'll make her eat it. Eat her own head? Yeah. How's she going to eat it? With what? Oh, yeah, then I'll eat her head. Like, that seemed like a genuine moment of improvisation between these two. And Rik Mayall just went with it, and so did she. And it seemed like very natural. Like, that's how, like, an uncle would or an uncle or dad would speak with their little girl. Like, it felt very natural. And I think that's actually one of the great standout things. It did make me laugh it made me smile and laugh how well their chemistry worked. And then it transcended to how well the adult version chemistry works as well, because she's doing that thing where she's like, I don't want a bar of this. But at the same time, Phoebe Cates does a good job of communicating enough that she does want this as well. So that's good. Any other things, or like any jokes or comedy set pieces, though?
Jokes,
Or comedy set pieces. I mean, he does sink a boat.
In a fantastic Captain Feathersword cosplay.
Pirates! His outfits are great, too.
Oh, I love them.
My favorite comedy moment has to be when he's at the very elegant party, and he's saying hello to everyone there, but it's like no one can see him.
That was really good. I did like that.
And he's like, it's just a little thing, like she's talking, but you just see him, and he's like, oh, hello, oh my, oh hi, and he's just like waving at them like they could see him.
I really liked in the meeting where what was he called? Not Roger.
Who, the husband?
No, the guy that Carrie Fisher's having sex with.
Oh yeah. He's got a weird name. Murray.
She calls him Mur.
Mur, yeah, which I thought was a different name. I thought that was Merle. Because Merle can be short for, like, Mur can be short for Merle.
Yeah,
but...
I don't really think there's not really a shorthand for Murray, is there? I suppose Ray, maybe.
Muzzer.
Oh, God. Why did I ask?
Bill Muzzer.
But one of my favourite bits is where, like, Drop Dead Fred is, like, on his shoulder going, yeah, give it to him. Tell him, Murray. Give it to him.
I liked when Murray, like, wiped his nose. He's like, oh, what's up there? And he looks up his nose. It's gone now. Like, that was
really good.
That was good.
What about when Carrie Fisher drags the chair out?
Yes!
Like, she's hitting the floor, and,
like,
Fred's controlling Phoebe Cates to make it look like, yeah, you're nailing him. This is a great moment, too, where he's, like, just very... See, this is a moment where Rik Mayall knew how to pull back so that when he released, it was a punchline.
Yeah.
Because he played this serious. You didn't expect him to go, bleh, like you kind of do, but in the moment, he seems
like, he's not going to do this, but
sincere.
Yeah, he's not going to Fred, and then he Freds all over it.
Yeah, oh god.
It's a good verb.
So you liked when Carrie, you like the whole little Carrie Fisher breakdown moment where he's looking up the guy's nose.
The nose thing I remember going, yeah.
I know. There's many moments. I enjoy the bits where he's crawling around on the floor, looking up people's dresses, because that means she's thinking about that. In her mind, she's thinking about that. She's thinking about her mum's dusty vagina.
What?
Or, yes. Oh, come on. I also like the little set piece where he meets other imaginary friends.
That's cute.
It raises a lot of questions, though.
Oh, yes.
Like...
The fact that the kids can't see each other's imaginary friends?
I think that makes sense, though.
I mean, it does, but I felt like it's like not a move I expected this movie to make. Like, it's a little, like, not intellectual necessarily, but it's a level of thinking.
It's outside the box.
Yeah, that you could have just gone, oh, they can all see it, and it would have been easy.
Because usually in a movie or show, like, for instance, there's the TV show Quantum Leap, and in the show Quantum Leap, the only people could see what his real form is are small children, animals, or the mentally ill. Because that's usually how movies work, or TV shows. Same with Robert Downey Jr.'s movie Heart and Souls. Only crazy people and children can see his imaginary people. Or animals. His dead friends, or animals. But in this movie they go, hey, what happens if if the imaginary friends have imaginary friends. Like, that's what it's telling me. It's like, I know they're real, but since none of the other people can see his friends, like Fred's other imaginary friend people, it's like an imaginary friend has imaginary friends.
Wait, you thought that they were his imaginary friends?
No, but what I'm saying is, since he's an imaginary friend, and since no one else can see his friends, they are also, on a level, imaginary friends.
Well, there are multiple kids in that room. They can all see their imaginary friends.
I know that, but what I'm saying is...
They are all imaginary, but they are all his friends, therefore...
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's a different take on the
imaginary friend.
Exactly, because usually all the kids would see all of the friends.
Yeah, but this one they're tethered, I'll use that word, to one kid, yeah.
Grayson, how did you feel about the racism of the imaginary friend called Velcro Head, who was the black one?
Is Velcro a racial...
Velcro Head is a racial slur, especially in England.
That went over my head. I had no idea.
And his little girl is the black girl, too.
Oh, well, I don't feel good about racism in any shape or form.
It's just last episode we had a debate about the racial connotations of
him calling him boy.
Of him boy, and I'm like, well, in England...
Him boy.
In England, that's not a racial slur in the same way as in America, but you were more like, well, it does count still. And I'm like, in this movie, it's like Velcro, but since we don't say it and Americans don't say it, it doesn't come across. But since it is, and he is black, and it's a little black girl, does it make it a little bit more...
Well, the thing is that, like, no movie is going to be screened in only one country.
That is true. Look at The Avengers. Which was screened for the Spanish people in English. They didn't understand it, so they re-edit the movie to make it understandable to people who don't speak English.
Oh, my goodness. Like, it's going to be viewed by several countries, and you kind of have to be aware of that. Yeah,
and also Rik Mayall helped with the script at points too.
Yeah, and if it's banned in England, surely he should know.
But at the same time, different comedy sensibilities. Also, it's Rik Mayall. He usually did that pushing the boundaries in both good and bad ways. I mean, yeah. But I do love the fact that Carrie Fisher is so Carrie Fisher in this movie that she lives in a boat. Is she playing a character?
Well, no, that's why they cast her.
Yeah.
Because she had a boat. Ah! I can't believe that snuck up on me, Bartek. Well done.
I thought of that before we started recording. I'm like, I should save that for the episode.
Brilliant.
Save it for the recording format, not the conversation.
You should, and you did. You nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I reckon when they cut her hair for the second time, they should have like stuck to the asymmetrical thing. Because if anyone could pull it off with her face, though, don't they even it out?
No.
Oh, I just have bad vision.
It's just combed nicer because this is her having woken up and then her in water. But by the end of the movie, her like the dream in her mind palace, it is one side's longer than the other. But also she does that thing where she goes, "This does look awkward. You know what I'll do? Put it behind my ear."
That's right.
So she does that tactic of, I have ears. I shall use those.
Use the ears. What a fantastic coat.
Which Rik Mayall outfit did you want the most? Because I personally wanted the ballroom outfit with the hair. You want the pirate one, Grayson?
I think I want the pirate one. He's got knuckle tattoos! I didn't notice that.
Oh, in another scene, in the imaginary friend doctor scene, he has rub-on tattoos all over his hands because they're there on the table in the waiting room. So he obviously, even though we didn't see it, he obviously put them on himself because he was bored. What about you, Bartek? Any outfits in particular he wore that you were like, ooh, I wouldn't mind having that?
To be honest, they all sort of blended together because of their colour scheme.
Because they're green and yellow.
But, you know, I like the pirate aesthetic. I can go for that one.
No one wants his real outfit, his mainstay.
Well, I'm not a fan of double-breasted.
But are you a fan of high-waisted pants?
Yes, actually. I'm wearing some right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can only wear high-waisted because I've got a weird hip-to-ass ratio. So
right.
anything like hipstery will immediately fall down.
You see, mine are usually high-waisted because I am skinny and tall. And that usually means if you want pants that fit you, fuck you, basically. Yes. I do love that he destroys the boat. Like, honest, and you know, I love Carrie Fisher just kind of understanding about it. Like, she's a bit of a mental breakdown, but she still wants to be friends.
What a great fucking friend.
Carrie Fisher is the best of friends. Like, when you said earlier about like that she has relationship problems, and you were like, mainly outside of her mum, mainly just the one with the husband. I do feel like she does have other ones. Like, she has relationship problems with Mickey, the best friend, like the childhood friend, because Mickey Bunce, because she doesn't want to connect with him because of her mental stuff going on, but also with Carrie Fisher, because Carrie Fisher's giving her really great advice, and she's just like, no.
Well, I wasn't implying anything about other relationships. I was just talking about those two in particular.
But I think, like, the film shows with those two in particular that it affects everything in her life.
Yes, but you do not slander me, motherfucker.
Your eyes got so serious, Bartek.
Yeah, that's classic B-Tech action there.
Sometimes I just get a bit dark.
I do love the fact that we never see the resolution to what happens to Carrie Fisher. Like, do we know if she still works? Like, we do know she gets a lot of money for the boat, but did she get fired from this? Who knows? But did Mur get any trouble? Because everyone knows now.
I mean, it was the 90s, so probably not.
Also, it doesn't even matter if it's the 90s. He's white and rich and old and a man.
And a lawyer.
Is it a law firm?
Oh, I assumed it was.
Okay.
Is it not?
Oh, I just never thought about it, but I think it is, because I think they're talking about in paperwork police stuff, and I went, I guess. I just never thought about it.
Would
I
that
just
be
like,
connected to the fact that our main character was a, what's it called?
Typist.
Minute keeper in a...
Typist.
Court recorder?
Court recorder, that's what I was thinking.
Minute keeper.
Which I thought that was...
minutes.
Is that different to a stenographer, or is that the same thing?
I think they're the same thing. I don't know. If you're one of those out there listening, tell us what the difference is, if there is one. And if you're also an imaginary friend, tell us about what that's like. What's imaginary friend land like? Is it like good, or
is it as fun as everyone says?
What would Mur's imaginary friend be like?
Well, he doesn't have dreams. He doesn't have imaginary friends. He just has wet dreams, Bartek. He says that.
So if he's...
Carrie Fisher's limp hand, it looks like a baby's hand. What I'm saying is Carrie Fisher was a tiny, tiny woman.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, she was a baby, Ryan. She was a tiny, tiny baby. I like the fact that whenever he puts on a persona, because that's also a different suit. He's wearing his business suit. I like that his hair is always groomed differently as well.
Too.
Like he needs to blend in.
That I know.
The costume designer did a great job. And I like the weird little upturn of the collar.
Yeah, but
like
I also...
Gilbert's tie.
But it also works with the curl of his hair at the front. He's just such a disheveled fucking mess. I do like the fact that out of all the imaginary friends, he's the most human-looking one. Like, all the other ones had some weird things.
Like stripes painted on them.
Yeah, or they had Velcro for skin, or weird shit. Or one of them had like a mohawk and they were also a bird person kind of thing. But Fred's like the only human proper, like without any weird defects, other than he has wacky hair.
Yeah, his craziness is that he's kind of like the Joker, I guess.
Rik Mayall would have made a great Joker, by the way, voice-wise, wouldn't he? He made a great King Herod in Jesus Christ Superstar.
I tried to watch that, I think, after he died. And I don't think... Is it Andrew Lloyd Webber? I think it's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
It's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I don't think Andrew Lloyd Webber's for me, to be honest.
That's the only one that is for me.
Fair.
I mean, just there are some songs in that, but then every time it's like, oh, look, it's Mary Magdalene, and she's...
Try not to get worried.
I'm like, oh, shut up, Mary. Let's get back to Pontius Pilate, the real hero of the story. Here's the best song for me. I love this hat. See, she's still got her...
blue going on.
Lopsided hair.
Yeah,
as well.
I just didn't notice.
Yeah, it's because you just kind of assume in a movie they would skip over that continuity detail, and you think, oh, well, she got her hair fixed.
Also, my eyesight's bad.
You were not wearing glasses?
No, I was wearing my glasses, but I was in I'm house sitting at the moment, so I was in a different house where the TV is a bit further away from the couch, and it was on an angle. So
fair enough.
Every now and then I was like, oh
boy, she's wearing blue because she's sad.
Oh, sad for blue.
Now, this movie has a lot of dark elements, a lot of uncomfortable elements. Was there anything in the movie that did make you feel a little bit squirmy in your seat because of the uncomfortable nature of it?
I feel like it did. I don't know if I could fully explain it, but I suppose it would go down to that idea of we're watching a grown-up being treated like a child, and that must feel so undignified.
Also, they think she's mentally ill. because she kind of is.
Mm.
And the way that they treat this is by giving her this brutish nurse who's like, I will fuck you up if you do anything wrong. I found this scene very uncomfortable, if I'm honest. Like, in a funny way, though. Like, that's the thing. Because you know what makes it uncomfortable? Mickey. Mickey's just too optimistically on board for her insanity. Like, he's got some damage going on. Hence, at the end, when, spoiler alert, his daughter has Fred, a lot of people go, it makes no sense why she has Fred. What, does she have the same problems as Phoebe Cates?
Well,
I'm like,
parents are
yes,
divorced.
she does.
Like, when they meet, it's not said, but it's, like, heavily implied because he has a picture of her attached to paperwork that he's applying for custody of her.
Well, no, he says.
Does he say?
Yeah, he says he says, I managed to win the custody.
Ah, I should listen to him more instead of just looking at him because he's pretty.
Is he?
I think he's very pretty.
My problem was he looked too much like an action figure doll.
He does look like an action man. He does.
No, he looks like Max Steel in
is
particular.
Max Steel
He was
in
an
his
action
watch?
figure doll.
I'm so proud of him.
I say that because he's blonde.
But does Max Steel have a sweet earring and only one ear?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Max Steel also came out as a movie 2 years ago. No one saw it.
No one at all, not even the
We'll
editor.
cover it on the show.
Was it better than Real Steel?
No, well, nothing's better
What
than
could be better than
nothing's
Real
better than
Steel?
I haven't
Hugh
seen either,
Jackman
I don't know.
teaching robots how to Rambo and Rocky it up.
Hugh Jackman could do just about anything, and I'd happily watch it.
I wish.
We've only had him once on the show, right?
You wish?
To
Hugh
be
Jackman's
honest,
been on the show?
Hmm?
Have you had a Hugh Jackman movie?
We
No.
had Pan.
We had Pan.
Ah, and it was panned.
We loved it.
Did you really?
Of course, he sang "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and he also sang a Ramones song as well, "Blitzkrieg Bop."
He sang... Oh my
Wait,
God.
did he or was it just the...
No, it's him because it's Hugh Jackman.
Okay, I'm fucking YouTubing
Look,
this in a minute.
I know this is completely off topic, but I love Hugh Jackman as a person. I love him as
not a musical,
Logan,
by
as
the way.
Wolverine, but in every other role, they're just movies that aren't for me. The only one I like outside of the Wolverine stuff is The Prestige, and that's because it's completely different to what Hugh Jackman plays, because he's an asshole in that movie. And also because I'm not a huge Christian Bale fan, so in that movie, Christian Bale's like dead weight to me, so I'm like, oh...
And there's
Hugh
more
Jackman.
than one of him as well.
Spoiler!
Oh, if you haven't seen the fucking Prestige...
Hey, you got upset with me for ruining Murder on the Orient Express, a story that
Did
came
I
out like
really?
75 years ago. Yeah, because I was sitting with you one time and I was like, talking about the new movie. I'm like, what's the point? The twist is like, it's age old. Everyone knows that everyone did it. And you're like, I didn't. I was actually wanting to go see that movie and you got really upset at me
Do you know
for
what's
saying
really
that.
funny is I know now that is a complete lie because I have no interest and never have had interest in watching Murder on the Orient
No, the new
Express.
movie, because...
No, I still have no interest.
No, at the time you said, because you were like, I like Kenneth Branagh.
Do I?
You did say this.
I mean,
I just
I
assumed
don't-
you were like, oh, you like Harry Potter, so everyone likes Kenneth
know what's
Branagh.
great
No,
about
actually,
this?
I like him in Much Ado About Nothing, weirdly enough.
I like him in general.
That's fair.
He's an actor I wish was in more things I liked too.
I have no doubt that I said this, but I have such a bad memory that I have, like, absolutely no
And
memory of
then,
it.
no joke, I told this story
Yeah, this is
to
what I was gonna-
Bartek, and then Bartek was like, well, I didn't know either.
Yeah! Him telling the story about him telling you spoiled it for me.
And then literally, I was in this sphere where I was like, am I the crazy one?
And then we had Sorab on the show.
And then we had Sorab, and he didn't know either. And then my fiance was like, Ryan, just don't spoil it for people. Evidently, they don't know. And I'm like, but my argument was, people should know. It's one of my age-old classics. Like, it's even got a phrase. Oh, they Murder on the Orient Express this. Like,
I've never heard that phrase.
it's a common thing when it's like, if you're talking about like, you know,
Right, I
murder
don't
mysteries
know
or
if-
whatever, or stuff like that. But like,
Sorab, Grayson, and I are gonna party without you.
and I got so annoyed, but then I was in this sphere alone, but then our good friend Will, he was like, guys, come on, the book came out so long ago, there's been like 3 movies.
Ryan, do you really want to build up Will as the mainstream?
He was right. Quick cameo alert, there was a woman that just popped on screen just before she gave a shocked look. That's Charlie's mum from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just want to point that out. She's a great actress. She's been in a ton of things. She was in Krippendorf's Tribe as the nurse character to the elderly old lady that was in Bringing Down the House. Yes, that's right. A lot of returning stars in this one. This is our first time with Rik Mayall as well.
I think there was another returning actress, but I can't remember who it was.
Has Rik Mayall been in many movies?
Oh, Jodie Foster.
Yes. Jodie Foster is not in this.
Isn't she Annabelle?
No, that is Bridget Fonda.
Sorry, Bridget Fonda. my
Daughter
mistake.
of Jane Fonda, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Annabella.
She's returning, isn't she?
I don't know if we've had a Bridget Fonda. You got me
I swear.
questioning now.
I looked her up on Wikipedia yesterday, and she was in something we'd done, but I can't remember what it
I
was.
love this scene, but it also makes me uncomfortable as well, because
That
then
she
you're
ends
going
up
to
just
realize...
hitting a woman.
And then she leaves, but then she gets taken by security. So it's all right.
I think she was in Monkey Bone.
Monkey Bone. Okay, I'll take your word.
Is her haircut asymmetrical here?
I don't know. But it wasn't in the other scene. And then it isn't in other scenes. Look, if you want to get continuity up in this movie's ass, there's a scene where she's walking down the stairs in her mum's house and you see tape on the floor where the actors are supposed to stand on their mark. So, I mean...
That's
Amazing.
For me, continuity stuff never bothers me in movies unless it's, like, the only thing that you can attach yourself to.
Yeah.
Like,
Unless you're truly bored, that's what you latch on.
like
to.
people always have a go at, like, oh... You know,
There's a plane
Dark
in
Knight
Troy.
Rises sucked because how did you get from here to Gotham so quickly? I'm like, dude, fucking shut up. The movie was boring before that.
He's got a grappling hook. He's got a motory bike. Like, come on.
He's Batman. That's your answer. But I love this guy, the Doctor. I like how he's clearly dubbed as well. Like, it's clearly not that actor's voice. It's clearly some other man's voice.
He looks a bit like Dr. Phil.
He does. He does. This is, see, her hair's asymmetrical here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the little touches. Like yeah, Fred's got things on his hands because he's just been. I think they're stamps, the little stamps that they have in kids' waiting rooms. I just love that. Like, because he's walked over from wherever they were. And I reckon Rik Mayall was like, I got to do this. So
It may have just been Rik Mayall who was bored and was like,
Rik Mayall being bored. I would love to watch a whole. There was this interview with him where he was just like, why is it that every show Rik Mayall is in isn't 3 hours long? Why is it also filled with other actors? Why can't it just be him talking for 3 hours? Wouldn't that be the best? And then he goes on a rant about how Harry Potter sucks because he was in it, and then they cut him out of the movie. He was Peeves.
Yeah.
And everyone's still upset about that. Everyone who knows.
Of course they are. Rik Mayall as Peeves is the best casting you could possibly achieve.
Other than Hagrid being Robbie Coltrane.
That's true. I also like when I saw a comic strip presents movie. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been
Supergrass?
No, I think it was 5 Men in a Car.
Yeah.
Robbie Coltrane's in it. I'm like, Hagrid.
Well,
knows Rik Mayall, and I'm like, yeah, he was part of it.
He was in Young Ones.
Yeah, it blew my fucking mind. I was like 14 at the time.
He was a Cyclops in Young Ones at one point. And he played also scientist who dropped a giant bun on them because he's looking at them in a petri dish. And he's like, oh, with this thick accent. I love this. Just all this craziness going on. I love that they don't like this guy, though. He's such a namby-pamby. And then namby-pamby comes along and they like her, though. Like, I love this. It's just such a weird way to go about telling this interesting story about this woman who's obviously having a lot of mental trauma going on in her life. Like, this movie hits a lot of emotional things. Like, I read this, there was this article, but I can't remember, some hipster news thing where it's like, Drop Dead Fred's a lot darker than you remember it being.
There's at least 2 articles about
And it's
that.
like, well, yeah, duh, it had Rik Mayall in it. You could apply that to literally everything he was in. Like that kids' cartoon show, King Arthur. It's a lot darker than you remember. Yeah, it's got Rik Mayall in it.
Speaking of which, Ryan, I failed to look up the Siskel and Ebert thing.
Oh, it was their most hated movie of 1991.
Yeah, but you told me that their video was interesting. Was there
Oh, it was
anything-
interesting because they were just like... They were describing him as if he was like the YouTube character Fred.
Okay.
Like, he's this high-pitched squealing man who does not stop talking for 90 minutes, and all he does is scream. And I'm like,
I don't think he screams much.
no, but what they hear as screaming is him being like, you know, him yelling. I do like that he attached his ear all the way up there. Because he's made out of Velcro. He's Velcro head.
Did you say he was black?
He is. He's a black actor that's got light-skinned makeup on.
Oh, I see.
Well, that's, you know, look, Grayson gave a smirk face, but I mean,
It
you
wasn't a smirk.
disgust. A sneer?
Sneer's closer.
Smirk face. So, I think everyone does a good job. Can we give some props to the actress who played the mum? She was great.
I hated her so much.
I actually felt
I was meant to.
You feel sorry for her at the end, though.
I absolutely do not.
I did. I think you're supposed to, though, in a little bit. Like you can understand at the end when she's like, I'm lonely. Because this movie's all about people who are lonely and how they adapt. Because the mum was lonely, too, even in the relationship with the father, because the father was so absent.
Any film that tries to make me feel sorry for an abusive parent is never going to win.
And that's why she doesn't accept it fully at the end. But at the same time, it's showing you, the audience, that the mum isn't just a psychopath. It's giving the mum more of fleshed out reasoning for being the way she is. It's not just saying her mum is a complete psycho that has disregard for she's not like a sociopath. She's not just this monster with no feeling. It's that she's also driven by loneliness, which is what also drives our main character. But it's kind of showing you how, loneliness and separation from oneself or others can drive you into certain fields in the mind. And I think that's kind of one of the recurring things throughout it. Like, even Mickey's alone, and he wants to kind of connect with her because of previous relationships, and he's had to adjust himself to be this serious adult guy, and now he doesn't want to do that either. It's like a lot of people are lonely in this movie. Even Fred's lonely. Because she starts to ignore him, and then he starts literally dying.
And also, he was locked up in that box for ages. And he was like, I was in there for ages.
But he also treats it like,
It was 10 minutes.
Yeah. Where's the dolls? Like when he finds them, he just bites their heads off instantly.
I know, and rips off the monkey. Intestines.
Oh no, I've got a serious case of cornflakes disease. What a dick. You gotta love him, though. Yeah, this has a lot of serious elements, but can we talk about her husband and what a cunt he is?
Oh my god, what an asshole.
For me, I found him worse than on the level than the mum, because the mum they did give you a little bit of an understanding as to what was going on with her, while him, it's just, men are pigs. I'm like, oh, yeah, they are, I know, but he was fucking detestable. What did you think about that, Bartek? Like, I was trying to work both girls at the same time.
Yeah, and he did that by, again, emotionally manipulating one of them when he thought that she was dressed very nicely.
Oh, well, both of them.
Well, yeah, but we don't really focus on the other one.
But we do meet her. And when he's on the phone, he's trying to emotionally manipulate her too.
Yeah, but we don't.
It doesn't work though.
But we really don't see her much.
Yeah, but the fact is, you can tell that he's trying to emotionally manipulate both of them because he's in the driver's seat of any woman.
True, but with her, it's not as big a deal because by the end, we don't see her, and also she gets over him as well.
Oh yeah, she dumps him, but that's what I'm saying.
But we don't see that.
But No, we hear it on the phone.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't really see what he's doing to her as that big a thing. It's just like, oh, he's cheating.
I just think the fact that he's trying to date both of them at the same time, and then when he's having the long phone call conversation with Annabelle on the phone, he's doing the same tricks he's achieved with our main character.
But Annabelle's aware of the double play.
Exactly, so it's not working, hence it fails. But the fact that he tries in the first place.
And he also says to Annabella, sorry.
I'm your fella.
Oh, God. He says, I'm, like you said, I'm in the driver's seat, I'm in control. He openly admits to manipulating Elizabeth.
Yeah, he's just detestable.
That's why the mum likes him so much, because it's from one thumb to another.
Exactly. I do love the dad in the scene. It's just so passive aggressive. He seems all nice, but then he has to get the last word in before he leaves. Look, I know that we can't support the mum because she's emotionally abusive, but at the same time, I do kind of feel like she's terrible. But you kind of get an understanding why you could feel for her, because at the end of the day, she's the only one who has to deal with her daughter doing some of the most wow things. If you were...
Oh yeah, when she walked in on the mess and she made that face, I was thinking to myself, yeah, what other face could you make?
This may just be me, but the feeling that I got from this is that she is shutting him out.
I just feel like I feel like it's a bit of both as well. I think it's just he's very aloof kind of guy.
And I think she shuts him out and pushes him away, and he's not there, and then she's like, why aren't you there?
Yeah, hence she's a flawed individual. She's obviously the villain of the movie,
clearly.
other than Fred. Well, he is on a level, but he's also one of those. He's actually
He's an anti-hero.
He's an anti-hero. Did you know there's a porn parody?
Oh, I wish you'd never said that.
You want to guess what it's called? Go on, have a guess.
I don't think I could.
Come on, if you had to make a porn parody of
Drop
Dead Fred, what would you name it? Remember, it's porn.
It's porn.
Does it rhyme with Drop Dead Fred?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kinda.
I've got no idea.
Bartek?
Drop.
I'm trying to work. Okay, there are 3 words.
Drop panties, Fred? No.
There are 3 words there. Are 2 of them still the same as the original title?
No.
Okay. Because is it Drop Dong, Fred? I don't
No,
know.
it's Rock Hard Ed.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Rock Hard Ed.
That's awful.
Okay, it rhymes with
It's
the original, but-
it's even worse when you read the plot synopsis.
Why would you read the plot?
Because I do research for this show. In the plot synopsis, he has to teach the Elizabeth version that since she's never.
I don't think I want to hear this.
You do not.
No, I don't. Please don't say it.
What do you think?
Please don't say it.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I don't want to say it. I don't want to hear it.
You know how Elizabeth
don't.
in this movie he's the masculine side?
Mm.
Well, in the porn,
don't wanna
he's
hear
the
about
repressed sexuality side.
Oh, I mean, of course he is.
Well, so it's like, you've never masturbated? That's terrible. You need to masturbate.
Oh.
But instead he uses the word diddle.
Oh, that's so bad.
Masturbation was actually my guess.
And then, yeah, so he teaches us how to diddle. Diddle, diddle, diddle.
Yeah, well,
I wish I said it out loud. Now you can't believe me if that was my guess.
I never will. That's your
Yeah.
fault. You're always too slow to the draw, Bartek. You would get
I
killed.
thought I'd be
This is-
wrong. That's why I didn't say
Outside
anything.
of this is a great scene. What a beautiful relationship these two had. Rik Mayall was one of those actors who had great chemistry with pretty much anyone he was working off of, honestly. Because, he's always the loud, over-the-top one. Like, watching him and Rowan Atkinson play off of each other, because they are completely opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of comic sensibility. One of my favorite interviews is for Blackadder documentary, and it's Stephen Fry. Him sitting there, and he has this begrudging tone in his voice where he's like, you see, in comedy, and in acting in general, it's all about working with one another, helping each other out, to get the best performances and the best work. But then there are some. And then he's like, then there are some who come in and make it all about themselves and steal the thunder. And my god, do they steal the thunder. Then it just cuts to the flash art. Obviously you see him Fry saying it with love, but it is kind of like Rowan Atkinson had a thing about that too, where Rowan Atkinson is more shy and quite timid, and then Rik Mayall makes it like he's the jock of comedy. Like, he's like, comes in and he grabs the football of comedy and spikes it in the punch bowl. You know what I mean? Like, Rik Mayall comes in and he steals every scene he's in. Every scene. In anything ever. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Man Down with Greg Davies?
Yes, and he steals every scene he's in that too. There's a moment in that show where he's like giving this heartfelt speech about like, I would visit her every night, waiting outside the window with a rose and all that. And then he's like, wow, that's really beautiful. And he did that for like 5 years. Like, wow, that's how you met and that's how you courted Mum? Yeah. What a beautiful story. Yeah. And then I fucked her really hard over by that wall over there. Then he gets full Rik Mayall, like reenacts it, and he's like wild man. The fact that Greg Davies cast Rik Mayall as his dad is perfect casting because they look so much alike. Yeah, this is a horrible scene.
It's truly awful.
But, it is because she traps her inside that Jack-in-the-Box on a level because she genuinely, with kid logic, believes he's in that Jack-in-the-Box. And so is her.
Yeah.
She's trapped forever under
Kid
her
logic,
mum's
but
control.
also literally.
Yeah. I got so angry at the dad for leaving. I'm like, if you truly believe that this is not right, why are you not taking the
Yeah,
child
it
with
was
you?
weird. Like, he seemed to be on her side, but then he left.
Oh, it's because he's spineless.
Well, obviously, yeah.
I love this.
This
was
was
good.
nice.
And I like that he's like, I found that letter.
In the when I was hiding in the shed.
And he
Well,
pointed
that
out
is where I hid it.
and he pointed out specific words. Like,
Yes.
And like the funny thing was, I was just like, oh, that is kind of that word, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that. But yeah, what a horrible scene. Like, it's really traumatizing to
Yeah.
watch
Oh,
when you're a
yeah.
small kid because you're like, you trust in your parents or at least you do on some level. But at the same time, when you're a kid and your parents have to do extreme things, you can really take it personally. There was always those things of, your damages are from your family. Your parents, you know what I mean?
No, I'm laughing at the weird movement you did, not at
It's
like
'cause I was
that I think
itchy.
it's incorrect. Oh, I thought you were doing a bit.
Okay.
No, Ryan was
The
touching,
damage of yourself is from that of your parents.
Ryan was touching his childhood scar while talking about abuse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure, Bartek. I don't have one, Grayson. He's lying.
Okay, because I got quite worried.
Watching this scene here got me a little teary-eyed last night when I watched it, because the other night when I watched it, because when Rik Mayall died, the image of this scene of him on the bed, touching her hand, holding her hand, was the image everyone used on social media. Everyone used that image and used the goodbye phrase at the end, because everyone knew him as Drop Dead Fred from our generation, at least, unless you're more like comically sensible, like you would recognize him from something like Blackadder, which he only appears in like 4 or 5 times.
Which is, I feel like he's in it so much more because he's so fucking good.
I pretty much only know him as Lord Flashheart and Robin Hood in that one time.
What about Mad Gerald in season 1, your favourite season?
Oh, that is true, he was in that.
He's my friend, Mr. Key. I made him out of my own teeth. Yeah, everyone forgets about that. That's what I love that. But yeah, when he died, that was soul crushing for a lot of people out there, because he was a representation of something from childhood, that anarchist side that you wanted as a kid with this performance. And obviously for lots of other people, like myself, I was gutted, because he's like one of my inspirations to do comedy and acting, because he's like one of those guys where he did it all, really, didn't he? He was always Rik Mayall, though, at the same time. Like, he did it all. I love... what a bitch. But yeah, like, when that scene happened, I did get a little teary, because it's like, that's what everyone... I remember that's what everyone used as their social media recognition of someone they know died, because everyone does that. Everyone's like, oh, David Bowie died. I gotta remember that I like Starman. You know what I mean? But there I was. I'm like, no! This was another time. I was like, no, I like Rik Mayall. You guys haven't even seen New Statesman, in which he gives his best performance. Fuck you!
Is that where is Alan
Bastard?
Bastard, yeah.
The conservative with the
MP.
largest majority in the House of Commons, but it's also got the tiniest dick in the world. Yeah. You have to check that out.
I always saw it in the ABC shop, and I'm like...
It's the best.
I do like Rik Mayall, but I do hate politics.
No, it's the best. It's the best. In the first episode, he makes guns legal for police to use, but he's also in charge of the manufacturing of the guns, and he uses the cheapest materials, and it literally explodes in their hands. But he also is in charge of he's also got a wheel and deal in the insurance policies on their health. So, yeah, that's worth checking out. But yeah, Rik Mayall, man, he was the Johnny Rotten of comedy, people say. I mean, in this, it's hard to avoid when his hair's literally like bright red fire. But yeah, I like that in this scene, he's now sitting in the back because he got sick of sitting between 2 girls. He was just like, I'm done with these 2. I'm going to sit in the back of the pickup truck.
Maybe he wanted to have a smoke.
Yeah, maybe. Bartek, so you only know Rik Mayall from the Blackadder stuff?
Yeah, you mentioned something before that he was in. I'm like, oh, he was in that, okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember what, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's really mainly Blackadder.
Blackie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old slack bladder. That's what he calls him. That's one of my favorites. Grayson, you went through a period of the Rik Mayall thing. Was there any standout ones for you? Ones that you go, that's my Rik Mayall?
Oh, I don't know if there's any that... I think it would have to be young ones like Rik Mayall. But another one that I really fucking love is the Dangerous Brothers.
Yeah.
Because, like, I also, like... That was around the same time I got into the Doug Anthony All-Stars. Who
yes.
were, like
after pretty much ripping them off.
Yeah, a little bit. And so I was very into that.
Hello.
I was very into like the as like a 14, 15-year-old that like and anarchy comedy style, like the loud, the bombastic, the boisterous, really appealed to me. So the Dangerous Brothers, where they literally just went, "We are the Dangerous Brothers," just yelled and hit things and broke things and exploded things. I was like,
yeah, man,
hell yeah,
yeah, man. You know who was one of the big British comedians that was a huge fan of Rik Mayall and Adrian Edmondson was Michael Palin. He was like, these guys are the best.
I'm not surprised.
He would go to the comedy clubs and see them do the Dangerous Brothers, and he was like, yeah, man, that was great.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
I also love Michael Palin.
I love Michael Palin. He's my favourite.
He's my favourite as well.
Have you seen Ripping Yarns?
I've seen bits of Ripping Yarns. I think we've talked about Ripping Yarns
It's
before.
the best. I think it's better than Monty Python. I know a lot of people won't agree, but I love it. I love it.
It doesn't have the, like, streak of cynicism that...
Oh,
like...
really? You haven't seen enough?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'll shut up then.
What a great scene. No, but yeah, Rik Mayall, man. I say Alan Bastard. I even performed duologues at high school drama doing New Statesman. Like from New Statesman. I remember this was before I had like a laptop or computer, so I'd have to play it on the TV and then pause it and write down the dialogue and then play it and rewind it and pause it and
That's
all that to write
amazing.
out the dialogue and then type it up on my computer, which was in another room to where the TV is, and like I had to do all of that stuff because I loved Rik Mayall so much. And you know, New Statesman has everyone in it. It has Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie turn up in an episode where Stephen Fry hurts Hugh a lot. You know, all that kind of stuff. Some of the other young ones are in there, like Mike from the Young Ones is in it at one point. He was also in Bottom. He was Dave Hedgehog. And it's like, why are you called Dave Hedgehog? Give me a hedgehog and I'll show you why.
Oh.
And then, why are you called Spud Gun? Give me a spud and I'll show you why. That's all you get. But yeah, Rik owns this movie, but Phoebe Cates, she chucks herself into this too. I'm actually really upset she's retired from acting. She only has done like 15 things in total. I mean,
Yeah, I checked her on IMDb,
but they're all big. She was the it girl in the late 80s and stuff. I mean, Gremlins, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, this even, like, Phoebe Cates was a pretty recognizable face, but then she kind of stepped back from the limelight. Apparently all she really does now is, you know, look after the country mansion that her and Kevin Kline have because they're married, and help raise the kids. One of them is now an actor too, Owen Kline, and then very good actor too, apparently, in a movie with Jeff Daniels. And you know,
I kind of love Jeff Daniels.
who doesn't? He's super nice, but he also has that sneer about him. Where he's like, he's an arsehole as well. He's one of those guys. But yeah, like Phoebe Cates, I'm disappointed that she's kind of stepped back because she's great. This is obviously the one I think of the most. Like, everyone loves Gremlins, but when I think of Gremlins, I think of the damn Gremlins, man. I don't think about the humans. Except for the old lady that gets launched out of the...
You would love that.
I mean, isn't it the best?
I've not seen Gremlins.
Wow, okay.
Jeez,
It's a human drama about Gremlins.
And Mogwai. Thank you very much.
It's more about the Gremlins.
I've only seen the Christmas tree scene, I think in Gremlins 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
There's
someone's
a-
like, this is real scary.
There's
I'm
a
like,
bit in
okay.
Gremlins 2 where it's like, it's kind of mocking the fact that Gremlins 1 exists.
Oh.
It's a bit of a poke and laugh meta kind of one. But there's a bit in Gremlins 2 that everyone loves where he's on a film set or something. In the background, there's a person on the time machine from the movie The Time Machine. And you see in the background, they literally disappear. Like, and there's like they've traveled through time and left. Like in the time machine. It's just a background joke. Or one of the people that's driving like a little go-kart buggy is just Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Just him wearing his hat and with a megaphone shouting out things like Steven Spielberg would as a director. Oh god, but this husband, what a piece of shit. I kind of wanted him to die.
I really wanted him to die.
I kind of wanted Fred to somehow become physical and kill him. When I go into an apartment and I'm trying to capture someone,
Fingers
I walk out
first.
fingies first.
Fingies first.
Fingies first. I feel like this nurse has been in a lot of things. I wish I looked her up, but she feels like she's that person that plays the big nurse or prison guard woman or
Yeah,
something in things. Like, if she was in Shawshank Redemption, would you look twice?
Yeah, I'm still here, by the way.
Hi,
When
Bartek.
I saw her, I thought, like, have we had her on the show before? But then I realized, no, I'm thinking of John Candy.
What?
In Nothing But Trouble, because he played the sister.
Yes, yes. I also thought it was John Candy in a dress. You're right.
No, I thought she was familiar. I didn't think she was John Candy in a dress.
She's a familiar John Candy type. You know, some say John Candy died, but actually, he's secretly that actress now. I mean,
No, he
little
died,
does
Ryan.
anyone know, but John Candy faked his death.
No,
I'm kidding.
Ryan.
John Candy was awesome.
He's dead as Rik Mayall. And the goldfish from earlier.
Well, they both did die of heart attacks.
Okay.
But one was a bit more dubious than the other. John Candy's one kind of shouldn't have happened. He was on film set. Yeah, it was one of those ones that's like, yeah, a guy of his size doing the stuff. It was kind of like, weird. John Candy, yeah, sad guy, sad story with him.
What film set did he die on?
Wagons Go East or something like that. So it was a western. So he was in like the full garb in the desert.
Ah.
And he died of a heart attack at the same age his father died of a heart attack.
Jeez.
I did love, there was a magazine where John Candy got interviewed, and the first question was, is your last name actually Candy, or is it made up because you love candy? And he's like, of course my last name is actually Candy. If I had to choose my own last name, it would be something chocolate related or cake.
That's good.
That's how you would deal with that. I would do. Oh, Bartek, you and your great Rik Mayall are dead jokes. You've done this in the past on the show, and I'm like, I die on the inside
With
so much.
Rik Mayall or other people?
No, with Rik Mayall. He
Oh
just
my
knows it
gosh.
gets me. I'm like,
Well, it's because you do it about, like, animals and stuff, so I'm like,
a real life person.
The year he died was the year we met, I think.
2014, it was when we were finishing uni.
Yeah, you
Bartek
were.
and
I never finished uni. How dare you?
Well,
Um,
technically you did by just not going anymore.
I did not go. We're not going to get into that on the podcast.
All right, let's get into it on the
Oh,
podcast.
But yeah, we like the day it happened, we had to have a meeting.
Oh, because we're in the student theatre company.
Yeah.
And I remember that meeting.
And we talked about it, and like everyone else was like, "Okay, it's time to meeting now." And we're like, "No, we're grieving over Rik Mayall. Thank you very
They're
much."
like, who's that? And we're like, Drop Dead Fred, I guess. Leave us
Yeah.
alone.
And I'm like, these young ones, because I don't go, "Oh, that Drop Dead Fred is what everyone knows it from." I go, "Young ones, you fool." That's what
Yeah.
That's the first thing I saw. him
Bottom, you idiots.
in.
Richie Rich. Richard Richards.
Filthy Richard Catflap. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
There's this other one that he did where his character, it was by the same people who did New Statesman, and he was a professor of philosophy, and his name was Adonis Canute. And people used to just call him Adonis Cunt.
Oh.
See, it's a British comedy show. You know you can get away with saying cunt in every
Absolutely.
episode.
At least once.
Oh, once?
I don't know.
No, they didn't hold back. Oh, Carrie Fisher. Oh, we miss her too. I mean, you know, I say that, but not as heavily as I do with someone like Rik Mayall. Like, I appreciated Carrie Fisher in retrospect. Like, that, I am that one where it's like, once she died and I heard more about what she kind of did and went through, I was like, okay. But to be honest, for me, not that standout of an actress, but I think she kind of knew that, hence she went more behind the scenes.
Standout writer, surely.
Yeah, but like, you know, when you watch Star Wars, you're not going, oh, her great performance.
I don't connect with Star Wars. Like, I just don't.
What? But the Force.
What about
oh, got you there. To be honest, I didn't even know it was Carrie Fisher until after I finished the movie.
Well, it's Carrie Fisher.
What?
it? Wait, who is?
Oh, man. Yeah, tragic with her too. And then her mum. Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
happened.
can't remember what I connect Carrie Fisher with in my brain. But I don't. Star Wars is like she was in a bunch of movies that I saw when I was growing up.
Really?
I feel like she was.
I just remembered her in this and Star Wars, and then later when she was kind of more prominent doing spoken word stuff about how much of a fuck up she's been her whole entire life, and then on 30 Rock, where she played pretty much herself.
She was on Good Newsweek, and it was the best fucking thing.
Yeah,
So
she
good.
was a champ, and then, you know, her dog, her ugly,
Gary?
ugly dog. But that was the charm of the dog, is it's so ugly. His tongue's constantly hanging out. But yeah, this movie, man, this has a lot of sentimental value for a lot of people. You know, and for me, I couldn't understand that. That was my biggest challenge. Like, a lot of people loved this movie, and I just personally did not love it as much as everyone else. I thought maybe when I was a kid, you know, it was like a lot of the big elements went over my head. But then a lot of people I know that have this as a sentimental attachment don't even really recognize the darker elements of the movie until you actually start talking about it really, really in depth. Like, no, come on, guys, this stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah. I think a lot more people have the sentiment because for them it's their first Rik Mayall experience or only Rik Mayall experience, and he's talented. And also just, you know, the premise. Imaginary friend comes back and causes crazy things to happen. Like, you know, making her get prescribed hardcore drugs.
Which apparently have no side effects, which is not a thing.
Well, I think the side effect is he's dying.
Oh, touche.
As the kids say, pwned. Yeah.
Christ.
And now a Fortnite dance move ensues, yeah.
You're going to floss in front of me?
You know, the biggest sad thing is my fiance's playing the new Spyro game. And there's the new Reignited trilogy where they've redone the old Spyros. And there's a bit in the second one where there's a skeleton guy that dances.
Oh, yeah,
they've given him Fortnite dance moves now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. The original, he just kind of shook and did backflips.
Dang these kids! If they watch Drop Dead Fred, they would know better than to floss.
But it's a pop culture reference. What's this about flossing?
It's a dance move.
It's that, like, backpack kid dance with the, like... I've never flossed and I never will.
Do it now. This is a great effect. It's simple, but it's great. You know, the falling into the thing. It's just a simple shot. You know, it's still image of Rik Mayall, but then they've obviously put her there as a cross dissolve over it. It's very simple, but it is an effective sequence. Now, this is probably, for me, and I think for most people, the best part of the movie.
This is the bit where I wrote down in my notes, which I still take despite the fact that no one else does.
I take notes.
Do you? Where are they?
Oh, I just remember what I wrote down.
Oh, yeah, so I don't have a memory, so...
Who are you?
Yeah, good question. So I wrote down they really wanted Tim Burton to direct this for this scene.
Yeah, I can understand that, but it also has a David Lynchian quality to it as well.
Yeah.
And also it has some other director's qualities. This is the only thing this director has directed feature-length-wise.
There's something I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Having not seen the film, but you know, I mentioned earlier that I just seen like still images from it before. For some reason, when I thought of Drop Dead Fred, I thought of a weird room, and then when this turned up, I'm like, this is what
the weird room.
This is that weird room that I think of. When I think of the film.
My favorite effect of the weird room is the fireplace that is in black and white. I think we've gone past it, but there's a fireplace that is in black and white, but everything else is in colours of some sort. I enjoy that effect. It's in the background too. It's not like something that's like, look at how artsy we got. It's like, I actually like the fact that it's artsy-fartsy looking sequence. It's really underplayed. It's not like they're showing off like, ooh, look, there's no walls where that door is, you know? Ooh.
He went through the door.
Like Tim Burton would today.
Where's Johnny Depp?
I miss Tim Burton. Could he come back and be a good director again? He hasn't been a good director since Big Fish, and that was like 18, you know, that was like a decade or more ago, wasn't it? That was like early 2000s.
Oh, I wasn't making that face at how long ago Big Fish was. It's just I tried to watch Big Fish once, and it was so boring that I turned off Ewan McGregor, who I would never turn off.
Wow. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but at least it had originality, and it was very like, oh, this is... But then he does stuff like Planet of the Apes, Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd... Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Yeah, everyone's dying on the inside.
Ryan,
except
you
for
love
people.
Dark Shadows.
You did introduce me to Eva Green as an actress, so I'll thank it for that. She's a great actress. So, thank you. And it had Michelle Pfeiffer, so tick. She was the mum. But yeah, this scene's the big scene. And you know what? I've got to say, honestly, when I think of resolutions to a movie, this is probably one of the best resolution moments in a movie, like when, you know, the problems are overcome. It's very fairy tale-like and psychological and very serious.
And one thing I didn't expect from Rik Mayall is that he does like softness quite well.
Yeah.
And like he had just before he had a great look of like childlike wonder.
Yeah.
And that little detail of him helping her out of the tree is quite nice as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like helping her, pushing her forward.
Yeah. And, you know, he knows what she needs to say, but she needs to say
And he's like literally at her back, which is very nice.
Yeah, and her mum's dressed in red. She's got the red lipstick. She looks like the devil, and then she's engulfed in hellfire, which I love.
Yeah, because the devil was a big theme for you growing up.
Well, yeah, it was. It kind of was. I don't know why. I wasn't even very religious. Just kind of like, when you're a kid, it's like, oh yeah, the biggest bad thing in the universe is Satan, right? The devil.
I didn't really grow up with religion a whole lot.
Nor did I, but I grew up with pop culture stuff a lot, so it's like, you know, even The Simpsons is like, oh yeah, the devil, he's bad.
What's funny is now I quite like stuff where the devil is portrayed. Like, I'm a big fan of Witches of Eastwick, as you know, and
we did it on the show.
I know, I was like, oh.
I loved it.
I actually really
Ryan's done a monologue from that as well.
I did a monologue when I was his monologue about how women aren't evil when he's in the church and he's vomiting his guts up. Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. I love this.
Yeah, this is really good.
And him. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And like how his eyes are like he's just about to cry.
Yeah, but they're not too much. It's just. And I like the fact that it's like a stage show where the lights are just shutting off one by one by one by one, and
he's so
eventually
still.
they're engulfed in darkness, except for they are in the spotlight.
This bit does look a lot like an Australian play.
It does look like Australian plays.
Like, I can never describe what I mean when I say that, but people instantly go, "Yes, I know what you mean."
That's exactly my
It's
reaction.
lack of walls and just cardboard trees.
and like a real rich moodiness.
Oh yeah, backlighting and spotlights. That's basically it. That's Australian theatre. But yeah, this scene's gorgeous. What did you think about this, Bartek? Did this put a lump in your throat?
It didn't put a lump in my throat, but I loved it. Because throughout the film, you know, we did have that whole thing of, oh, Fred's gonna go crazy soon, and here it's like, no. He's surprised us before, but I know he's not, and he's really nailing it.
Yeah, that attests to the Rik Mayall acting. And for you, that must be a real surprise, too, because you know him as Flashheart, where people cheer every time he comes on screen, and he's like, is me, or do I have a canoe in my pocket? He's like really louder than life.
Ryan, that's a TV show. This is real life.
Yeah, and then, oh, look, she eventually embraces and hugs herself. It's beautiful.
This could have very easily been heavy-handed, but for whatever reason, I just don't think it is.
No, it's because, one of the reasons too is because the rest of the movie is so whimsical and over the top, so that when it comes to this moment, it doesn't feel that way. But if this moment was played more seriously, like in a later Tim Burton movie, it would feel a bit more heavy-handed. Look, Tim, come back. I thought Big Eyes was a slight improvement. Come back, though, buddy. We miss you.
I mean,
Make real movies again.
You miss him.
Didn't you like any of his movies?
Oh yeah, I liked his movies, but I'm not yearning for him to come back. Like, I love Beetlejuice. Well,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Beetlejuice in ages, but like where they all sing Harry Belafonte, that's my shit.
Yeah, Mars Attacks and all these other movies.
I loved Mars Attacks.
Exact-
Scared the shit out of me, but
Ed
I loved
Wood, great biofilm.
it.
I liked it.
No, that's fair.
But,
You're
you know,
allowed to.
he has so many, but it's like, yeah, I could see why they wanted him to direct this, but also I just think it would have been a bit too obvious.
Yeah, like Robin Williams, Tim Burton, it's too obvious, and also not a good combination.
And it's weird because the writers wrote it specifically for Rik Mayall. They just went, no, it's him. We got to get him. And
It's him.
obviously, being American, the studios were like, no,
Absolutely,
we don't know this man.
This
What's
English
he done?
weirdo.
This English weirdo.
Why this guy? Why not Adam Sandler?
No.
Because he wasn't a star yet.
I know.
No, it would be, why not Steve Martin?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Why not Martin Short? Now, Martin Short would have been a good choice. But he just plays...
I don't think Martin Short can pull it back like Rik Mayall can, though.
No, he can.
He can?
Oh, he can.
Okay,
He can.
I'm not that familiar with
Have you watched Inner Space?
Sorry?
Inner Space?
No.
That's so great. That's actually probably one of the greatest movies he's been in. That's the one where Dennis Quaid is shrunk down to the size of a human cell, and he's been injected into Martin Short. Ooh. And he has to get out of there before he enlarges again. And Martin Short's a hypochondriac, neurotic guy, and at the end he becomes like a hero. But like, yeah, he knows how to pull it back, Martin Short. Also, he was in an episode of Law and Order SVU where he played a pedophile, and he was surprisingly scary and very charming as well.
My current touchstone for Martin Short is that Steve Martin Short.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Thing on Netflix.
I've known him for stuff for Three Amigos and stuff.
I never saw Three Amigos. I only saw bits of it because it used to be on TV all the time.
The Steve Martin thing was good, but you have to have context for both of them.
You do, and I don't have a lot. I know
for Steve and
Mars Attacks.
Yeah,
and
he was great in that.
Yeah, and a few, and I know Steve Martin more obviously because it's Steve fucking Martin. I've seen Sergeant Bilko and Cheaper by the Dozen.
I like how those are your Steve Martin
top
tier, not like
the Pink Panther.
The pink, yeah, not Pink Panther.
Hamburger.
Yeah, or Little Shop of Horrors. Or,
Little Shop of Horrors is my ultimate touchstone. I love Little Shop of Horrors.
Jerk.
The Jerk. The Man with Two Brains.
Oh, The Jerk.
What?
I haven't seen The Jerk.
Oh, right.
I've only read the synopsis and I'm like, oh!
You know what my favorite part of that movie is? He grows up in a fully Southern black family, and one of my favorite jokes is in the narration. He's like, people ask, why didn't I know that I was white? He's like, well, I was under the assumption that I would grow into the blackness, because that's what they told him, that he would grow into it as he got older. He's so dumb. Oh, yeah, and then here we are.
I love what he says. You've got a lot of options open to you right now. I just think I'd like to be one of them, okay? That's so nice.
Yeah. One of my biggest complaints, though, and this is my only complaint, really, is Mickey doesn't acknowledge the fact that his own daughter, her imaginary best friend, is Drop Dead Fred, when he knows about Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, that's odd.
I was surprised by that.
You know what I mean? Maybe if only the nanny heard it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Mickey remind
Elizabeth
of...
Yeah.
So...
the grandma thing. Remember what you did to my grandma? I'm like, what did
And that was that was the director's real mum.
That's pretty
And it was yogurt they poured on her, and she apparently had...
Yellow yogurt?
Yeah. And then apparently, weeks later, she still found bits of, dried up yogurt in her ears.
Oh.
Yeah, that was...
Because it was so hard. No, because it's really hard to get out once it's kind of dried and stuff. So
why would you use yogurt?
Because that's what they use. Film. They use different things. So maybe, sometimes on films, things don't look how you imagine them to look, and things don't sound like how you imagine them to sound. So, sometimes paint doesn't look like paint.
But using a dairy product, I'm not saying you should use paint on a person. I'm just saying using a dairy product is an interesting...
Well, let's not forget, film always has weird things like
Good
that.
For your bones.
Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory thought, let's use actual chocolate for the river. Yeah, in the original one.
That would have cost so much.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, sorry.
Oh, Willy, yeah.
Sorry, Willy Wonka, and they thought, let's use real chocolate. But then, of course, the lights made it stink and curdle and go bad. And then also, the problem is when you look at that movie, you kind of can tell it's real chocolate, but also in your brain, you're like, nah, that's not real chocolate. Because sometimes in films, things don't look how they look. So maybe using yogurt, it looks more like paint. It's like on The Simpsons, where it's like... Horses don't look like horses in movies, or cows or whatever. It's he paints a horse like a cow, and then it's well, what do you use for horses? And he's just we just tape a bunch of cats together. You remember that? That's the thing.
Actually.
So the movie has unfortunately ended, and it is one of those sad things where, for me, I'm going to get into my review and rating straight off.
Do it.
It's sad that it's kind of ended, because it is one of those... For me, bittersweet things, because it is a reminder that we've lost such great talent with Rik Mayall, and also Carrie Fisher as well, because this is the thing I appreciate her for the most, and I understand why others would say there's plenty of other things to appreciate her for in terms of acting, but for me, this is what I always think about when I think about her acting, in terms of actually good acting. No offense, Star Wars fans, but listen how her accent changes scene by scene, but...
Picking a fight.
Rik Mayall was fantastic in this, and I think a lot of people overlooked his performance. So a lot of people in general thought he was just a loud, screamy guy, but he always knew when to pull it back, when to restrain himself, when to lead you into comfort just to punch you in the face, you know, like
Just to hit you in the face with a shovel.
He was always out there, man, always just doing what he was doing, and it's unfortunate. So for me, this is always a kind of sad movie to watch, but also one to appreciate, always one to be joyous by, because it is the mainstream Rik Mayall appreciation out there. And I would say to everyone, you've checked it out, check out his other stuff. Young Ones is obviously one to go to, but also Bottom's a timeless one. The Young Ones is more in its time because it's dealing with its stuff of that time and types, but like
That's why I like it so much.
Bottom's timeless because just two guys living in an apartment, hurting each other, and wanting sex, which is timeless. You know, if you want to see some great Rik Mayall stuff, look up at his stand-up comedy. He did some great stand-up where he's Rick, the people's poet, and he does some great poetry. Like he's one about theatre. Got to get to the theatre to see some Shakespeare. And then people boo him. He's like, "Shut up! Shut up!"
That's what I liked about Rick so much, is because people would be like, "Oh, fucking shut up, Rick," and he would just fight back. Like, no,
shut up! Hands up! Who likes me? And then they all put their hands on the floor. He's like putting all of his hands as high as he can, and he's like, "No!" But you know, like Rick was always great. The one thing I will say, a part of my review for this, and just Rik Mayall in general, is check this movie out. Rating, it's 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000. You know, it's better than you remember it. But one thing about Rik Mayall's comedy talent that this movie does use, but not as much as other things, is he always... Well, you're looking at Velcro was a sponsor?
registered trademark.
It is. That Rik Mayall always, for his comedy, used confidence as a thing. And I've never seen... I don't think we've had a comedic actor since that has explored all the nuances of put upon confidence, because his comedy always came from the fact that his characters had this self-righteous confidence that they didn't deserve to have in the first place. But they were always different in each character. The nuance of it was different. In this, it's different because he is right. But like when he has something like Rick and the Young Ones, and he's like, "I'm the people's poet, they're going to mourn for me when I die," and all this kind of stuff. Or in as Alan Bastard, he's literally the richest man in England, and he's like selling plutonium and all this kind of stuff, but at the same time he has a smaller stick and he's got erectile dysfunction. So it's like, but he thinks he's the sexiest guy in the universe. And also, check out The New Statesman, because Rik Mayall actually is sexy in that show. Like, Rik Mayall usually doesn't look sexy, but he actually looks handsome as fuck in that show. He's always making himself look ugly. That's the point.
Yeah, that's true. I was a weird little teenager, and Rik Mayall was definitely one of my, like...
Heartthrobs?
Yeah, definitely. Like, Adrian Edmondson as well.
Well, if you want to see Rik Mayall's pretty much partially nude, you can see it in New Statesman when he goes to a brothel to get whipped. And it's actually played sexily as well, so weird. Enjoy. But yeah, he was great. Drop Dead Fred is great, and if you grew up with this, I am envious of your admiration for it, because I didn't have that as much growing up. But as an adult, viewing it again, it is darker than you remember it. Grayson, let's hear from you.
I really like this movie. It's probably one of my favourite ones I've done on the podcast.
Bend it like Beckham, take that.
It's up there with Bennett. It might take over Bennett. No.
Sorority Boys is very upset by that.
I fucking hate Sorority Boys, especially now that I'm out as trans. Like, I remember watching that going, I fucking hate
At
this.
least Observe and Report's feeling okay over in the corner. Being like, don't look at me.
Observe and Report can go die.
Check out our episode. It was a great
The only good thing about that movie is that it has It's Late by Queen in it, which is an excellent song.
It has other things.
Yeah, a bunch of bullshit.
Seth Rogen's great acting.
So, yeah, this is one of my favourite ones that I've done on the podcast. It's really good. The themes, so there's really, really difficult themes in it, but I felt like they're dealt with well, and there is a triumph to the ending, which I really like. What was the question?
Your review.
Oh, that's my review.
Do you have a rating?
Do I have a rating? Yeah, I give it 5 striped suits out of 5.
That's a lot of suits. Bartek, let's hear from you.
Believe it or not, I also love this film.
Hell yeah! This hasn't happened, I don't think.
What?
I mean, we always love the films, so
Yeah, Grayson.
that's on.
Yeah, it's usually me being in the corner going, no, I hated it. You terrible.
But then we're like, what about these merits of the film? And you're like, okay, they are there.
Yeah, they're definitely there, but I still.
But I came in negatively to begin with, so
Yeah,
it's me. It's me.
I can't change my mind. I'm Grey the Unyielding. Leave me alone.
I think that, but it is hard when art is that subjective thing too, where it's like,
Grey, son.
I think I did that in the last episode.
Yeah, I've heard it many times before, but it always gets.
I think I did. No, your nickname was Grayskull.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Brother Bear, Grayskull. Bartek, continue on. Sorry, let's let Bartek rampage through.
Movie good.
That was better than the movie with The Rock, Rampage.
I hit my chest really hard.
Yeah, you did. You went for it, buddy. And I'm like, they're not going to see
But
this.
is a method actor.
You can say nothing else about Bartek except that he's a method actor.
He's Method Man.
Hey, I know my methods.
And it is slapping myself on the tummy.
With fists, yeah. Again, I did love this film. I feel like for a film that is, blending together two ideas, which I mentioned before, is something that can be kind of an iffy thing, because it's like, oh, jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing going on there. It did a really good job, and I really liked that it incorporated a lot of these like little psychological elements, these dark themes. It's just a really interesting thing to do for a film that many people, Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel,
And the nostalgia critic, too.
In him too, yeah. I did watch his review, but I can't remember. That it was, it's targeted for. We didn't really answer this, but kids did see it, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Targeted for kids, it's a film that's filled with all this thought, effort, ideas, and talent. It really is something to admire.
Yeah.
And honestly, this was also kind of like Bend It Like Beckham. This was one where I thought, is this an unappreciated masterpiece? Because it kind of does have a cult following.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
but
is
then
it
you look at the 5.8 on IMDb, and then everyone's like, oh, that movie.
Yeah, with films that already have a cult following, it's hard to say, what our purpose here is on unappreciated masterpieces, but I feel like, having seen the film myself now, it is something that you just have to see to understand, to know exactly what it means to meld childish elements and these more mature elements, because when I walked in, I didn't know how it was going to play out. I didn't know that not only will I have moments where I smile and laugh, but where I feel, kind of uncomfortable in a way because of this, what I mentioned before about like, oh, this is a grown woman, I think older than I am right now, being treated as a child still. When she was in the doctor's office lobby,
great, yeah.
next to that mum who assumed like, oh, you're an adult, you're functioning, but then
You have a child who needs help.
But then it turns out, oh no, you're the client. It's a film that just touches a lot of bases, and I really admire it for that. I give this film the full patent rights to Velcro.
Thank you. It's a trademarked. Just a thing.
I think, as you were speaking about Tech, I think I had a bit of an epiphany. I think before I watched this film all those years ago, I expected this to be like Death to Smoochie.
That's for adults, right?
Yeah, it is for adults, but it's not a great film. It's a film that I fucking love, but it's
The
not a
Danny
good
DeVito
film.
movie, yeah.
The Danny DeVito vehicle, yes.
No, I mean, he directed it.
I know.
Yeah. Henry Rollins was going to be in that.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to play the guy who's, like, obsessed with him, like, the restaurant guy or whatever. But go on.
No, really?
Yeah, he was a second choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really like Harvey Firestein's in that.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the first things I saw Harvey Firestein, which is so interesting.
Mine was Simpsons. He was Carl.
I thought it was gonna be like that sort of bad movie, like too much over the top, like inappropriate, like tone deaf sort of thing. And once again, I love that movie. It has its problems, but I enjoy it on a goofy level.
Yeah,
and this is just there's not many films like this.
Yeah,
like tonally.
It was a thing of the 90s.
Yeah,
We're never going to get these type of movies for families ever again.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't even think we get much live-action kids movies as much as we do since the mid-2000s.
That's a good point.
But you know what we do get, Ryan?
I'm scared.
Reviews from the internet?
Yes.
Hooray!
No, it's hurrah.
Why is it hurrah?
Because I said it is.
It's ho 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 because it's December, guys.
It's December 2nd.
Hit us. One more time.
From YouTube, I've got some comments.
Thank you.
The first comment is, this film was completely misunderstood and wrongly aimed at children because distributors couldn't get a handle on the concept. It's a black comedy and a drama too. Everything Fred does comes from within her. When you watch the film knowing this, it takes on a very dark and even tragic edge. Good storytelling.
Yes.
I don't disagree with that, which is rare for this bit of the podcast.
Obviously, I've mentioned my thing on the black comedy aspect, but yes, perfect.
I also think a lot of black comedy is sourced from mistakes that the character made, and that they are now they are reaping what they've done. Where she doesn't do anything there's not a big mistake that she
hit a person with a purse and then is prescribed drugs.
That is true. That does happen in the movie, but she hits a person with her purse while the bad things are already happening.
That is true. Well, no. She's an idiot and leaves her purse in a car and then goes to the public phone.
Don't blame her for being robbed.
Twice. She got robbed by her purse, and then the person took the car. The next person that came along. It was her fault. You see, this is one of those movies, if mobile phones existed, a lot of things wouldn't have happened the way they did. Continue on, Bartek.
Around the time this movie came out, I was learning sex ed in 6th grade.
Oh, good.
One of the words we learnt was testes for testicles.
Okay.
So when Fred rips up the sock monkey doll and screams, "Not my intestines!" at the time, I thought he was saying, "Not my testes," so I thought that scene was hilarious.
What a wild... I like how that's not a review, it's an anecdote.
Yeah, it's like,
well, these are YouTube comments, so yeah.
Good point.
Good point. Hit us with some more. Are there more testy-related comments? Because that's what I'm in for.
I tested them, but no. I've only got one more YouTube comment, and we're going to IMDb.
Thank you.
Let me guess. Jim Carrey's The Mask was made before this movie. And then they made a next paragraph. I'll be doggone. I could have sworn that this movie was influenced by The Mask, but now I think perhaps The Mask was influenced by parts of this movie.
Yes, so you should... Yeah.
So they wrote half their comment and then...
Is that it?
That's it for you.
No, sorry? No, sorry that I was an asshole and that I judged the movie for doing something. It's like when people say Vampires Kiss is just like American Psycho. No, you idiots! American Psycho is just like Vampires Kiss.
Do you really want to get out all your anger on this comment?
Okay, leave it.
All right.
Is The Mask an underappreciated masterpiece?
No, everyone loves The Mask. It made Cameron Diaz.
Did it really?
That's her first big movie.
Oh.
It's also one where she looks completely different, and hence people are like, plastic surgery? Because she looks extremely different in The Mask. Okay. She's also smoking. Yeah.
I can only remember the Cuban Pete dance number.
Yeah. I haven't watched The Mask in a long time. I do like my Jim Carrey, but I'm not as huge into him as everyone else is. I like my Truman Show. Go on.
I got 2 IMDb reviews. The second one's shorter, but I'll read the first one first. This one is titled Just Plain Weird. It is from the 9th of February 2015, and it is a 5 out of 10 review.
You mean 5 out of 5?
10, unfortunately. It's a 1 out of 2. I saw this when I was about 13. I had loved kooky, fun, and effects-laden movies like Beetlejuice.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Which is what I expected when going to see this. I had also had imaginary friends as a child, so I thought I could identify with it.
More than one, popular.
Yeah,
but
all that damaged.
But Drop Dead Fred was a very different animal from the movies it was marketed to be like. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Beetlejuice were fun and harmless romps in comparison.
Well, yes.
In between its sparse effects that were kind of entertaining, DDF was... It's DDF, not DTF, Ryan.
DDF. Sorry, I also thought of Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors, where it's like, it's DDS, because he's a dentist. Come on. But I love the fact that, like, I need to abbreviate it. It's DDF.
Excuse me, DDF.
I'm a part of the DDF fan club. We call it the DDF FC.
It's the same amount of syllables.
DDF. Yeah. Come on, Bartek. Sorry. DDF.
In between its sparse effects that were kind of entertaining, DDF was an annoying and vaguely disturbing experience that couldn't seem to decide whether it was a kid-friendly comedy, a kooky and adult horror comedy, a quirky romance movie, or a very sad and dark story about an insane young woman.
Horror comedy?
Weren't you scared? Weren't you scared when his hand came up from underneath the pillow and just knocked her on the forehead?
No. I didn't notice that the first time.
Ooh la la. Sorry, keep going. I'm allowing them to talk.
Something else that annoyed me was that this was also kind of a chick flick.
Fuck off! Fuck off!
Hey, let them continue.
Absolutely.
I do not like flicks dedicated to chicks unless they are for me. Because I thought, look, I'll be honest, I 100% thought for some reason a woman was writing this to begin with, but now it's really shifted into it's a man. Okay, keep going.
I want to read the next sentence. Something else that annoyed me was that this was also kind of a chick flick. While it was obviously marketed towards children and young adults. The scene where the scantily clad chick fixes dinner for her successful jerk boyfriend felt like something I didn't sign up to see.
Scantily clad?
Is that for chicks?
No.
When I think of a chick flick, I don't think that's... Okay, go on. That's more for guys, I feel.
Wasn't she wearing a dressing gown?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, man, she showed a little bit of neck.
Oh, no.
Oh, whoa.
I can't know that Phoebe Cates has a neck.
No, not especially when you saw in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I did not.
The scene where the scantily clad chick fixes dinner for her successful jerk boyfriend felt like something I didn't sign up to see. It was like something in a soap opera.
Is it a chick flick or a soap opera? Make up your fucking mind.
I also felt a little sorry for the homely guy we're supposed to believe is going to be her future husband.
He's not homely, he's hot as hell. What are you saying?
No, I agree with homely. Go on, come on.
How do we know she won't be bad for him? I mean, she likes vain and successful men, and he's neither of those things. Plus, she's nuts, capable of destroying her friend's houseboat without remorse, and he's kind of a chump.
Mickey
He is a chump.
Also a bit nuts because when she pours a glass of water on himself, he then goes, yeah, and escalates it and just starts throwing
I did say that. He's a little weird.
And
was that it?
No, there's one more paragraph.
Christ.
Oh, paragraph!
This is where you guys will probably agree with him.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm. I'm holding on a pencil just so if I get mad it breaks.
The guy who played DDF was miscast too. He's supposed...
There goes a pencil! I don't have any more, but here we go! I've got fingers to crack!
Ryan, he's supposed to be the product of a little girl's imagination. What we get is a loud, scary English dude who knows a little more about sex than you'd think a child would dream up. I think they chose this guy because he was some kind of successful comedian, but his loud, insane, dirty, limey shtick just doesn't work here.
Limey shtick.
Alright, let's hear the next one.
I'm so angry at that.
That pencil did deserve to be broken then, because I would have broken that guy's face. Somehow punched through the laptop to get to his face.
What fucking level of misogyny are you on?
I don't like chick flicks. It's too much like a soap.
Whenever women cook, it's too much for me.
I didn't sign up for cooking. I signed up for a family romp where no women do cooking at all because I guess... I don't know what they're trying to say.
I wanted kooky, not cooking.
They were scantily clad in their non-revealing outfit. Go on.
I've saved the serious review for last.
Oh.
Good.
This review is titled, Why is Bridget Fonda not credited in this film?
Okay, yeah, I have an answer for that, but go on.
Ooh.
It is from the 3rd of October 2004 with no rating.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody tell me why Bridget Fonda is not credited in this film? No question mark.
I can.
No question mark though, Ryan.
Okay.
She had been in several films and credited aplenty by the time Drop Dead Fred was released in 1991. Yep. Maybe she was doing the producer or the director a favor. It's a mystery! If anyone has any other ideas, I would like to hear them, or I quest it should be see them since this is print.
What happened then? Did they have a stroke? Go on.
As far as the film itself is concerned, I quest it just wasn't my cup of tea. I thought it was a waste of Phoebe Cates, Marsha Mason, and Carrie Fisher. It seemed like the director and or the screenwriter tried for something and didn't quit make it, and I would like to have seen Robin Williams in the role of Fred.
So is that the end? So I have an answer for why Bridget Fonda's not credited. She did it as a favor for her friend Phoebe Cates, and sometimes in the film acting in Hollywood, you are part of the Screen Actors Guild or membership or acting community, and you can only do so many films at a time when you're part of that. So sometimes you can still act, but you have to go uncredited. So, especially if you're doing it as a favor. So there's a film called 4 Rooms, which is an anthology film series in which Bruce Willis is prominently in one of the rooms, but he is not at all credited because it was a favor.
Okay, right, but there was a problem with your answer.
Oh, what?
Or I quest it should be see them since this is print. You have to write it.
Okay.
To this person from 2004.
Okay. I forgot Bruce Willis was in 4 Rooms.
He was. He's on the phone in the last room all the time, and then he helps chop off a finger. So, guys...
Wait, I have one more.
Oh, you have one more?
No,
so
I lied.
You liar.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for lying.
You're welcome.
You know what they call Bartek?
Ryan.
Not here, because it's actually his brother, Lartek! The evil lying one. Which, honestly, Lartek has come up like 20 times in this show. Whenever you're a dick, I just refuse to call you Bartek, and now you're Lartek, the lying one.
Yes, I am Lartek!
Oh, I think I've met Lartek before.
Yeah. Nice to see you again! Why are you laughing?
What was it on that Simpsons episode where he's at the Twin Towers and the guy's offering him, like, you want some crab juice or Mountain Dew? Ugh, crab juice. And
Mountain Dew?
Yeah, Mountain Dew. I'd rather have some crab juice. And then what was the weird meal he was trying to serve him? Yeah, that's what your voice reminded me of just then. Instead of Polish man, it reminded me of that Middle Eastern man at the Twin Towers.
At the end of the last episode I did, Bartek made a Mario joke which made both of us cry with laughter. And that voice is
It's who would you like to marry? And I said, Mario!
Yes.
So you guys at home have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people. As always, Grayson, a pleasure to have you on, especially when you're on board for the film. That's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I know, it doesn't happen often, but thank you.
It's your fault. So, if you guys want to give us a rating, you always can on any platform that allows it, usually iTunes/Apple Podcasts. I mean, I wish they would make up their mind what the name of it was these days. Pick a name! Jesus! I've got a lot of anger. If you want to email us with suggestions for anything to cover, because, hey, maybe if I didn't see Drop Dead Fred when I was a small child, and I wouldn't have suggested it for this episode, and Bartek wouldn't have known about it to suggest it, and, you know, maybe we wouldn't have known about it, because we can't know about every single unappreciated masterpiece, because they are unappreciated. Even for us, there are some that we just don't know about. I mean, on this show, we wing it sometimes. We go, you know, this looks unappreciated. Let's see if it is. And then they are. It's winging it 100% accuracy all the time. Because we haven't seen every single movie that we've done on the show, but maybe there are some out there that you at home are like, why can't I tell you this? You can tell us on the social media, but we have an email. Bartek, what's that email?
It is spitandpolished. That's spitandpolished@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Why are you polishing it?
Oh, well, we really liked Ed, and Eddie, and we thought Ed was the one that deserved
He
it.
needs a polish.
Yeah, he's a bit grimy.
He likes chickens, Eddie.
But yes, thank you very much, listening people. You can find us on all the platforming, podcasting sites. We're on everything. Share us around like a disease.
Platforming like Mario.
Ho ho! So,
That's Mickey.
ho ho ho!
It's still Mickey.
I know. I wasn't trying to change.
That's not Mickey.
I don't change for you. Lartek. No, now he's being snarky. He's like his other brother, Ratek.
Oh.
We've already established that. Until next time, people, remember to be kind to each other.